A magnificent mansion, a perfectly manicured garden, and a beautiful blonde woman in front create a scene that resembles the world of autumn games. The hero isn't sure if this is an autumn game, but keeps sipping tea and decides to think about it later. Bladinga asks him if he ever listens to her. Clearly he is fully attentive. While she keeps telling a story, the hero won't let her finish and finds it very exciting. She protests that she hasn't finished and is tired of it, and demands that he behave like a gentle woman. Calling him a gentleman, he asks him to at least try being a bit more like Roy. This makes him wonder who Roy is. When he heard about Roy, he was finally convinced he was in an autumn game since the blonde only talked about him. He showed so little interest that he did not realize everything until he heard the name. Roy is the first prince, the top target in your star, and the main male character, if he remembers correctly. Star, I'll do anything for you. That's the name of the game. This is how he does it. I know this game, everything is simple. I helped my sister through it. He remembers that his little sister told him all about this game in a previous life, and in this. In his world, he's an only child, and the girl opposite him is Lydia von Ernst, the Duke's daughter and the heroine's rival in Roy's route. In the game, Roy's fiancée had to be taken seriously. They are now in a corner of her huge garden. Also the son and apprentice of the Duke's gardener, Isaac Baumgarten. He did not see any of the gardener's students when he helped his sister with the game. Here are the K. He's not even in the mob. 3 years ago, Hall. Born at the Ernst estate with memories from a previous life, he thought the knowledge useless and kept it to himself. And on the day he entered the manor, he became his father's apprentice, and they were now in the Duke's palace. The Duke walks down the stairs. Seeing Isaac, she calls him cute. Isaac looks up, struck by how handsome the Duke is. Isaac's father greets the Duke, admits his son is inexperienced but says he can train him properly. Before they head to work, he wants to introduce him to the Duke. The boy says his name is Isaac Baumgartner and that it is an honor. The Duke introduces himself as Harold and says he is pleased to meet you, then tells Isaac he looks too young here and asks his age. My father says he is 7 years old. The Herald says that is great. At such a young age, he can already handle the duties of an apprentice. My father says that's not true. The Duke isn't really clever and is just a cheeky kid. He says he's only 2 years older than his daughter and might prefer to play rather than work. And Isaac says that's not true and wants to start protecting the Duke's garden right away. Helping his father, who tends the estate's vast garden alone, he hopes to earn his respect and carry on the work, and the Duke smiles, calls it cute, and says he wishes he had a son like that. A girl steps into the room. The Duke calls her a precious little angel. Her father asks where she's been all morning, and the girl tells him this is too much. The maid he provided for her was disgusting. While arranging her hair, the comb got stuck and caused her a lot of pain. The Duke. He pats her on the head and says his D's beautiful hair is very sensitive, so he can imagine how much she was hurt. She demands he fire this armless fool immediately, and everyone falls suddenly silent. Isaac tells her she has a bad temper. The whole room turns to look at him. Someone slaps him on the head and demands an apology. Isaac stays silent. Her noble birth doesn't give her the right to fire people at the left heel's command. He can't see why he should apologize to her. The girl asks him what he just said. Isaac replies that she has a disgusting temper and terrible manners and will grow up to be a rare freak, and she asks if he knows who he is talking to. Isaac replies that she is the Duke's daughter. She says he did exactly that and asks whether he thought commoners could speak to nobles like this, and Isaac asks if it is. Her father is powerful and the girl agrees. He asks if she is powerful and she agrees again, and Isaac asks. Her power is what she means, and she says that's what she's talking about. Isaac repeats his question about her power and explains that the Duke has. His reputation came from taking on heavy responsibilities and many duties. She says belonging to the Ernst family is what makes it great, and Isaac asks if her father, as head of the family, is responsible. Only one person has the exclusive right to decide who to fire. The girl is at a loss for words. After she slaps him, he stares at her with a creepy expression. The girl is shocked, and the boy. The boy says that by resorting to violence, she admits defeat, that he did not even play his best card, and he keeps stammering. Clearly she can't answer his question. She knows she's far from her father. The girl clenches her fists, turns around and runs away. Isaac. He senses the danger coming from his father. The Duke interrupts his father and thanks Isaac. The boy asks. Accept his apology. He says he didn't know what came over him and didn't think about what he said to his daughter. The Duke says he simply saved him. Normally, he can't even tell her off. Answering a question with a question seems interesting, so I'll have to try it out somehow. Isaac remembers that this tactic was tried on his sister in a previous life. The butler steps out to tell the Duke the time, and the Duke says he must go but will be back soon. Before leaving, he tells Isaac that Isaac's sweet Dia is as beautiful as an angel and that her inner world is equally beautiful. Agreeing, he wonders why parents adore their children so blindly. After they leave the Duke's house, his father swears at him and says he should have apologized sincerely. Isaac says he is very sorry. Dia sits at a table on the outdoor veranda eating lunch. She thinks she had nothing to say and had to back away quickly, but she will show this ignoramus who is. She runs the place and asks the maid about the morning brood, and the maid says he was with Mr. Bumgartner and believes he is a gardener's apprentice, which surprises the girl that this den-raised character is one of their servants. She says she is surprised that with workers like that their garden is still standing. Finishing her tea, she decides to go for a walk outside in the garden. Dia sees a boy working there and asks him to take a momentary break, but he keeps working and asks what the matter is, so out of breath Dia asks why he is still working. It's so far away. Isaac asks her if she crossed the huge garden of their estate just to ask about it. He asks why she's here, and she says she came to give him another chance to beg her forgiveness. Surprised that a girl so young could run that far, he asks if she's skipping school, and Joe says she doesn't have any classes today. Isaac sees that the noble children have many activities and responsibilities. She agrees, and Isaac apologizes for speaking the wrong language. Death believes she came all this way to defeat him, yet he apologized too easily. She screams at him to look her in the face when he asks for forgiveness. You should apologize for that. Isaac says it's too much. He'd already spent so much time apologizing because his father insisted, and there's a lot of work to do here, at least until sun. They sit down. She asks him what he's so busy with. Isaac says he's thinning out some herbs that repel insects because otherwise they'd get too overgrown. Gia asks why they thin them out. Isaac explains that herbs behave like weeds, multiplying rapidly and crowding out other plants. Dial admits she did not know that useful herbs could also be harmful. She asks what he plans to do with the herbs he picked. He says he will ask the kitchen if they need any and give the rest to his mother. Use them to season meat or brew them into tea. Surprised, she hadn't realized weeds could be used for tea and seasonings. Again, she demanded that he apologize instead of changing the subject. He clarified what he should do. He says she should apologize, and his claim that she behaved badly seems to confirm his suspicion. So he asks Gia what she would do if the king suddenly started a war and attacked the neighbors, and how she would feel if her father were sent to fight. This is tyranny, she says. That king is a complete fool. A war like that would cause many innocent people to suffer. Never would she forgive a king who forced her father to risk his life in battle. Isaac says she answers everything correctly. He asks if she sees any similarities. Her attack on the maid was terrible. For commoners, having a job is a matter of survival. So even if she is from a noble family, there must be a good reason to condemn him. She was made a servant of death as she had been. The girl thinks it over. Isaac asks. Jess says she doesn't even know the maid's name, and he asks whether she knows that maid's talent. They make the best tea. If she could no longer enjoy the delicious tea, that would be a real loss for her, but it does not mean she should pay much more attention to other people. Serving her is not difficult and brings many benefits. He turns to her and asks what is going on. She had wanted him to acknowledge her, and she says yes. Isaac pats her on the head and says that before she does anything, she must be sure she has a good reason to take serious action. Actions that affect others. She thinks he alone knows everything. She blushes and Isaac notices. She slaps his arm and asks who is to blame for. Isaac Saish was simply speaking as he always does. Someone shouted that it was inappropriate. She comes from a noble family while he is only a commoner. He does not like being poked. Isaac asks to be called by his first name and asks whether that is true. Correct, her name is Diameter. She says only family may call her that. Her father gave her the lovely name Lydia. Isaac says he might call her Lydic or Letitia, but admits those names do not suit her at all. The girl agrees that this is absolutely. That is not suitable. Isaac says he'll call her Malady then. Jeff corrects the proper way to address Malady. She tells Isaac he's like a teacher, though he does not look much older than her. Isaac thinks the problem is that Malady is acting like a child. He says the Duke or any other family member would have agreed if she had asked them. She says she can't ask them that. She explains she can't act irresponsibly or carelessly because she fears being rejected. Isaac asks why and says she should talk to her father. Jask says he thinks the Duke would be happy. Isaac knows this and asks her to trust him, but she should notice these things herself instead of waiting to be told, since she's surrounded by many people and, as the Duke's daughter, should be able to read their faces, traits, and moods. Growing up in a very loving family, she might not be able to. He asks her not to fire people over every small thing anymore. She shouts that she won't do it again. Then she says she hopes it is not too late to apologize to the maid. Isaac asks if he should ask her name before apologizing. Dia pouted and said nothing. Then she says she understands and demands Isaac now take back what he said about her terrible temper. He kept silent for a long time, then says he was unnecessarily harsh, and although his intentions were good, but his behavior was too rude. He says Lydia is truly wonderful, and when she smiles she becomes much, much nicer. She blushes again, and he asks if she is okay. The girl says everything is fine and reaches up to feel crumbs in her hair. Surprised by dirt in her hair, she learns from Isaac that it's fertilizer, and he accidentally pats her head while still wearing his work gloves. A loud scream escapes her. The day has been chaotic, all because of that boy, yet she doesn't want the day to end, and upon returning to the manor, she will find out the maid's name, apologize, and only then remove the dirt from your hair. The first spring after he became an apprentice, the Duke hugs him and thanks him, and the butler asks him to stay for a while. Second, he warns that his lordship may get dirty, Isaac says, and to be honest, Isaac does not think he did anything worth thanking him for. Understand what he's done. The Duke explains she has become very lovely. He replies. He said she was always the best, and now she's even nicer. Isaac asks what that has to do with him. Duke explains that after he scolded her, she sees him off every morning, and his wife Via noticed that Jeeb began to spend time with Flora, her younger sister. Every day they all get. They sat together at the same table at least once, and now he has a job to argue with, and he goes home as if on holiday. Isaac says it's Jay. She is doing her best. The Duke disagrees and thinks Isaac caused the changes. He says a bird told him they have been in constant contact since that day. He comes every few days for one reason or another, tells him everything, and he listens and gets to work. For example, she told me that she had made up with her maid Catherine and that her little sister Flora was very small. The Duke smiles, says Gia has grown closer to them and looks cuter since she found a friend her own age, and asks him to keep trying to get along with her. The Duke shakes his hand and Isaac agrees. Then the Duke promises he will no longer interfere with his work, and Isaac waves after him, apologizing for dirtying it. After he becomes a sycophant, his father insists he return to work and makes himself the boss, so he tries to act professionally since he now works for him. Still an apprentice, he brings things, serves, and stays out of the way, but he can watch his father tend the garden from the front row. As a young child, his father showed him the yard he had made for walking. The flowers he planted seemed like magic when they bloomed for the holiday, and he was surprised to discover his father wasn't a wizard after all. Yes, Ma. Magic exists in this world. Those who control its flow are called magicians. Commoners almost never use magic, so the aristocracy usually has these powers. My father has a slight aptitude for earth magic that helps him understand soil, but he doesn't use it. Gardening relies on knowledge and skill, not magical ability. He doesn't use magic at work. In his past life, thinking about magic was tempting, but now it's not that exciting, and after seeing magic in video games, it just feels like you're surrounded by it. High-frequency radio waves. Isaac waters the plants and wonders what kind of magic Malady tends toward, judging by her bright red dresses and haughty manner. Ian thinks she gives a terrible impression. Jur reappears in the garden calling out to him. Jur asks what happened today. Dee says she seems to have taken after her mother. She inherited her knack for magic. Most people show magical talent by age 5, so it seems she only just found out. He says it's wonderful and asks her what she has upon. Isaac thinks calling it lightning is exactly his weakness, so he now believes she cannot be angered. Sadly, it is practically impossible to use. Unlike her mother, she has all her hair curled all at once. Isaac says she can now use magic to power the factory machines. She asks if he is really immortal, since that could let her work in a factory. He laughs and says he thinks it could serve as a backup generator. Jug gets angry, rady. Creating an electric charge, Isaac apologizes, saying he didn't think it through because her lightning bolts creep him out. She's probably only hanging around because he's the only one her age. His little sister was always bothering him too. He tells Dee she always dresses so brightly, and he means her dress. Pink with lace ribbons, it's more than just bright. This dress stands out. Dee says this dress protects her. She is a member of the highest aristocracy. Due to her age, she can't respond to those who hate and despise her. The dress makes her stand out in a crowd and feel stronger. That is childish thinking. He also once wore red for the same reason. Because of those reasons, Isaac asks her again if that's true, and it really isn't her style. He thinks for a moment, asks her what she'd like to wear herself, and Dee reflects then. She says she'd like to wear softer colors like her mother. I'd like to try, but I can't. Isaac says she's overly worried about keeping her status, but honestly how she dresses doesn't matter, and when she asks why he's so confident, Isaac says it's because she's beautiful. Dia blushed again. Isaac noticed and said she has always. Be beautiful, frank, honest, and confident, and do not let what others say matter. Feeling embarrassed, she asks Isaac why he's like this and what's wrong with him, and Isaac says he's had enough. Soon he hoped to see her in her new form. As he'd said before, it wasn't for her. A few days later, Melody wore a cherry blossom dress for the first time and went to visit him. Spring ended and the rainy season began. Satsum is working in the garden, and because his water magic sense tells him rain is coming, he notices it's starting to rain and he's a little worried. I see a big thunderstorm coming, and my father says they probably won't get home soon. When the storm broke, the gardeners took shelter in a small outbuilding so they could deal with any damage to the garden right away. He says he should let Mom know they will be staying overnight as he clasps his hand. It creates a pigeon. This is a basic example of wind magic. The pigeon fades after it reaches its destination, but it lasts long enough to deliver the message. In this world, he can use more than his preferred elements, but he still finds them the easiest to use for balance. Trained not only in water but in other elements, he can use wind magic. Could even elude others. For a tiny game his sister could play, it was not easy to figure out. The RPG component is spelled out in detail. Even growing grass requires a skill. When he was playing, he wasn't paying attention to the details, so he forgot almost everything. Ya calls out to him. Turning around, he asks her to be careful because leaves and branches are falling from the trees. She asks what they are doing. Isaac explains they cut the branches so the trees won't lean to one side. She asks if those branches can be used as firewood. Isaac says that's impossible. Isaac says it's going to rain again soon. Dia asks how he knows. Isaac explains he has a predisposition to water and asks if he hasn't told her before. She says it's the first time she's heard of it, and Isaac tells her. He tells her there are more important things to do and that she should hurry inside or she'll get wet, then says he has something else to tell her, and she listens carefully as he explains they are staying in the annex today and that when the rain stops she can find him there, and Dia is surprised. She asks whether she understood correctly that he will be here after sunset. He replies that he will. There is enough work. Jess smiles, says she will send someone to pick him up after dinner, and leaves promising to see you again. Isaac thinks Melody might be getting a bit too excited. For a moment he even feared she was in trouble. It looks like this will be the first time he meets her family. He needs to freshen up, wash his face, and change into something decent, but first he has to pack something for dinner. They'll have to cook for themselves, their ma. Dad takes care of the chores around the house. He handles all the heavy work and helps Mom as much as he can. Dad could cook, but because he learned from Mom, he was clearly the better cook, unfortunately. Dad is the only one who can handle the hard work. He promised his mother that when he grew up he would help her carry heavy loads, and she said she could not wait, so you need to work and help however you can. This was in his previous life. An ordinary student, he helped his parents at their family restaurant while looking for a regular job. He ate simple food, worked part-time to save money, and didn't go to a top university because he didn't always try his best in school. Above all, he regrets his complacency, and although he later died in an accident, he was diagnosed with cancer while looking for a job. After a medical examination, he was found to be in a thermal stage and told he had 3 months left. Desperate and unsure how to tell his family and friends, he did not even notice the rain, much less the. When the car left, he died 3 months sooner than expected. Having always respected his stubborn, hard-working father, he decided it would be easier to take the simpler route and inherit the restaurant. Right from the start, it had a backup airfield. Only after his father's death did he realize how insignificant he was compared to his father. Reborn and determined, he vowed to live with no regrets and to be proud of his actions regardless of what others think. Memories of his past life guided all his decisions. His father comes down the stairs, ruffles his hair, gives him a hug, and tells him to hurry. Thunder is already rumbling. He lifts him onto his shoulders and carries him home. A strong wind blows. Dad dashes through the garden. Isaac is excited. He tells his father he completely forgot and asks him to come to the kitchen. Isaac hugs my father and thanks him for everything. He smiles happily and runs even faster. They reach the annex. Isaac wonders whether the gardener's annex could really be like this. It's far more beautiful than their house. He'd heard it had been built in the Duke's grandfather's. Since it was his father's time, he had expected a dilapidated shack and was shocked. The shock almost made him forget he wanted to rest. He had promised Melody he would visit her. He tells his father he can take a bath first, and he also. Isaac has some work to do. It starts to rain outside. He and his father have dinner, and he goes to take a bath. You hear some. There is a knock at the door. My father opens it and finds the butler standing under an umbrella. The butler says the lady is expecting Isaac. Isaac calls out happily that he's on his way. A towel drapes over his head. His father wipes his hair with a towel and tells him to find a raincoat. Finding one, he puts the raincoat on Isaac. He thanks his father and goes to the palace. Sitting on a large sofa in the hall where he was told to wait until the woman was called, he grows uneasy. Doubting they are that polite to ordinary people, he cannot imagine what servants like his lordship's butler or Melody's personal maid think. In the room with her maid Katarina, she thanks Isaac for waiting. Daya introduces him to Fräulein Katarina. Bowing, he apologizes. Because of his ignorance, Daya introduces the boy to her as Isaac Baumgartner, the gardener's apprentice. The maid says her name is Katrina, and she serves Mr. Lydia. Isaac is pleased to meet her. She says he can just call her Katrina. Isaac says he feels lucky to be able to drink the tea she made, because my lady has always praised it. He wants it so much he needs to taste it. Daya is outraged and tells him not to talk nonsense. Isaac tells her not to be embarrassed, saying she often talks about frolicking Katrina, that she makes tea from some unusual leaves, that she is no longer afraid of her and has begun to smile at her. Daya asks why he told her that, and taps Isaac on the shoulder. He asks if she does not like Katrina. Daya tells him to be quiet. Catherine watches them, giggles, and says they look like great friends. Daya says she doesn't care at all. Isaac notices she doesn't seem angry when Katrina smiles. As always, her face tells the whole story. Daya asks what is wrong with his hair. He explains his father tried to dry them after the bath and admits he cares about his appearance, but his efforts are not enough. He tries to justify himself by saying he could not make her wait. Jed says there are no excuses and tells Katarina to bring her a comb as soon as she makes tea, then she can be free. She obeys and brings a comb. Isaac sips his tea while Dio brushes his hair. He asks whether her tea will get cold, and she says Katarina's tea stays wonderful even when it's cold. After combing it, she says it's much better this way, and when he asks what she brought with her, she remembers and explains. She wanted to show him her favorite book, a picture book about dragons. She asks whether she is too childish for him. Isaac replies not at all, he can't read. Literacy among ordinary people is clearly poor. He can only make out a few words. Silence follows. He says that if that's the case, she should read to him, but he does not. She likes when Eddie acts sad or sorry about something he doesn't care about. They sit down together while she reads him a book. He says he'd be happy if she taught him the letters. Daya says I can't do anything, so you'll have to teach. Milady is simply lovely when she smiles. It's raining outside. Alone, Malady arrives at the gardener's shed. Isaac asks what she is doing. What he's doing here, she explains that he said he has no work when it rains, so she will teach him. Isaac thinks she probably has nothing to do either. He should. Leads them to their room, asks them to wait, and if she's curious, she looks around. After a while, he returns with mugs of tea and apologizes for keeping me waiting. Daya asks whether he really thinks he can act that way. Acting shamelessly, Daya fidgets and spins while they wait, her curiosity devouring her. Isaac says he doesn't know if they'll like it, but asks them to try the herbal tea. This tea is made from herbs that grow in the kitchen. It is his mother's special recipe. The girls taste the tea and say it is very tasty. Isaac says his mother will be happy. Joe believes that. These herbs are good, but the brewing method matters most, and he will accept the praise properly. Isaac is flattered, and Daya says Katarina's tea is definitely better. Isaac asks you not to compare, since Katrina is still a master. Now she offers to return to their sheep, pulls an envelope from her sleeve, and asks him to open it now. He opens it. It then sees that it is Advent Alpha. The first sheet shows uppercase letters, and the second shows lowercase. In Melody's world, paper and writing supplies are luxuries, and a commoner like him can't even dream of owning them. He notices her handwriting is excellent. She says it goes without saying and offers to teach him how to write letters correctly. She adds that she didn't even think to bring paper or anything to write with. Isaac says it's okay. He says he has something and will bring it over, carrying a seedling tray with soil, a stick, and a scraper, and adds that everything is ready. Daya asks what he will do. He demonstrates that you can write on the ground with a stick, then erase it with a scraper, and it works. Gia is surprised he's actually that smart. Katrina nods as well. He sees it as an overreaction. Isaac thinks maybe only a commoner would think of such a thing. They clearly never drew circles on the ground with a rock to play hopscotch. She should have been a normal child. She could have come to him and played with other children her own age. That would have made her happy and she would have loved it, but it's dangerous to walk in working-class areas. Even if you try to uncover its origin, there's a real risk it will be kidnapped. I wish it was so cool that it wouldn't protect you from all the dangers. Daya asks what's wrong with him. What was he? Asked what she was dreaming about. He says it's nothing and everything is fine. asks her to take care of him and calls her teacher. And she says that's the right attitude, so she will try to teach him how to do it and suggests we try writing it. He agrees, notices Gia leaning down, and Isaac offers her some sleep, but she refuses, saying she is a teacher so she cannot sleep, and she finishes. Her tea lands on Katrina's shoulder and falls asleep. He places it on the sofa. He and Katrina laugh. Katrina thank him for that time. Isaac says he should have apologized. Their supposedly wise behavior only made things worse for all of them. Catherine says she was thrilled that a stranger stood up for her. Lydia aimed her anger at him. Isaac remembers her father played a part too. Catherine laughs and then speaks. People say she is not as capable as her sisters and cannot be an heiress like her brother. Losing her job would cause a lot of trouble for the family. Melody said the head of the Lagarde family is a baronet, so they do not even own land. For daughters of such a family, in many families it is common to strengthen ties by serving higher nobles or by arranging political marriages. Because of her freckles, Katerina's father made her homeless and sent her to work. If she had been fired, she would have had nowhere to go. Katrina says she couldn't be happier than she is now, serving Mistress Lydia, now that he looks at those two look like sisters because of that incident. That's a thing of the past. He says it looks like a daisy. When she laughs, it's a. She looks like a daisy in bloom. Her father's claim that no one will marry her shows he has poor eyesight, a point she rejects while Isaac believes it should be addressed. Lydia mumbles in her sleep, and Isaac notices Milady is sound asleep. Catherine explains the woman stayed up late last night. Isaac asks why she wasn't sleeping. Catherine explains she was writing, and Lydia did not give up until she was satisfied. As a result, Isaac hides the papers and says he will keep them. His father calls out to him. Someone calls him Ike. He walks into the room and says it's about time. Lydia wakes up, Katrina. He wishes her good morning, and she's half asleep, wondering why they called him up. He says it's his nickname, and Lydia can call him that too. She agrees. Then he remembers. She points to something and says it's wrong. Isaac asks what she means. She mentions what she's been talking about and asks what is wrong. She replies that her behavior is not fitting for a young daughter of a duke. Isaac reminds her she used to smile very sweetly. She demands he forget about it. The duke writes. The letter says his daughter began seeing him off with a smile on her face. It is very cute. Her reserved, slightly shy demeanor was also quite. The butler, endearing and respectful, asks if he should work more with his hands than with his tongue, and the duke jokes that his hands are not for idleness. The butler points out that if he had been even a little quieter, he could have worked faster. The duke says he will die if he does not share his family's love with the whole world. Did the butler want him dead? First, he had insisted the duke not mention it outside the mansion, and now he had to hold himself back at work. The butler says his adoration knows no bounds. The duke agrees because his love for his family is boundless. Heinz frowned when he heard this and asked the duke to consider his position and the views of others. Although a loyal husband, many women try to tempt him in vain, and the duke always decides calmly with a slight smile. Mile he is called the Ice Duke. There is another. This nickname comes from his rare affinity for two elements, water and wind, which let him use ice magic. His magical abilities exceeded human limits, and with those talents, he became head of the ministries of magic, health, and pharmacy at 24. That earned him the nickname Tree Glove. Despite his high position, there are no dirty rumors surround the duke, a sign of their competence. Harold's entourage had no idea the Ice Duke quietly melted into the family circle. As long as he has his family, he pays little attention to other people's opinions. According to Heinz, Lydia heard how hard he was working and was filled with delight and respect. The duke promises to do his best for his dear daughter. He laughs and says he has a great assistant, and Heinz says he's his butler now. A knock sounds at the door. Dia asks if her father is here. The duke claims an angel came down from heaven in the form of his Lydia. Heinz opens the door and says this is too much. The duke says he was only telling the truth. He asks what happened and why she came to him while he was working. She says she heard he did not have much to do today. She suggested they visit Flora together, then asked if she was interrupting, and the duke welcomed the offer because he was happy to spend time with his princesses after finishing the letters, with Butler T already aware. When he made it, they walk through the castle. The duke apologizes, saying she is usually busy all day. She's glad he's working so hard. The duke thinks he's happy after a job well done and remembers how Dolly Sue works with Isaac. Holding a book, Lydia says it is for Flora. Her father asks again whether it is too early for her. Lydia says this is different and that she'll show him later. He says he will look forward to it. They enter the book. In the room with Flora and Mama, the duke compliments his wife, saying she is as beautiful as ever, like a goddess. Lydia looks out from She stands behind him and asks if he can see her, seeing. Via is overjoyed to see Gerald and Lydia. She is sure Flora will be happy to see them, the Duke of Paul. Grinning, she apologizes for being late and says she is sure there is another urgent job. He says he had to write a couple of letters, and my wife notices that this is so. This is also very popular, and the Duke says being in demand at work does not make him happy. All he wants is to be wanted by her, and he says that with a smile. Meanwhile, Lydia plays Flora and says Flora is very lovely. They spend time together, the Duke suggests. We'll head out for a walk as soon as the rain lets up. Lydia says happily that if we go she knows a great spot to admire hydrangeas, my father. He agrees and says she has done a good job exploring their garden. She admits she has often walked there lately. The herald asks Via if he ever told her about Isaac, and Lydia shouts a warning. Via says the maids told her Dea had been seen with a young gardener's apprentice, and Via was hurt that Dea had not told her herself, and Dea explains she kept quiet because she feared her mother would be upset since he is common. Via asks whether he is a close friend of hers. She pauses before answering. Then nods. Via says she would like to meet him. Lydia feels both joy and relief. She promises. Remises says that if Ike is rude, she will scold him personally. Mom notices that they are already close enough to call each other by their nickname. Lydia screams that she is completely wrong. The herald wonders if he should start feeling jealous of Isaac, and Mom says he must be a good boy if Lydia is so worried. Jess shouts that they are wrong. Mom and Dad laugh. She's talking to her dad, and while we're on the subject, holding out the book, she says what she wanted to ask. Isaac suggested they write letters to each other in a diary. She knows her father is very busy, but it will also. This would give her good penmanship practice, and she asks if it is a bad idea. The herald thanks G. He thanks God for sending him such a daughter, says he is thrilled and that they will start today. The butler takes the diary and says he will take care of it. The herald is outraged and says the diary belongs to him, and D. Hines cannot accept that, but says he will return it when they have time. Weiger agrees because a herald has many responsibilities. Hans leaves with the diary. Lydia sobs and asks her father Isaac to go because they want to go for a walk, and he agrees. Is in the kitchen, turning to the cooks, he asks how he can be as strong as they are. One of the cooks at. Someone asks what happened when he was beaten. Isaac says he didn't fight anyone. The cook then blames it all on the girl. I am curious which girl the cook means. A second person assumes it's a young woman, and another cook tells him to roll up his lip immediately. Isaac denies it, and the cook suggests maybe it's a childhood friend next door. Isaac says they can talk all they want, as if either had a girlfriend, and he tries to sound tough. One of the cooks laughs, slaps him on the back, and says the girl has barely flown. Someone who enters is already aiming for eagles. Hines walks into the room and asks why everyone is here. One of the cooks says Hines is on time. A boy wants to get stronger, so he asks Hines to take care of him. Isaac recognizes the Duke's butler. The cook says her Hines is excellent. The butler began serving after a recommendation from the Grand Circuit of the Order of Chivalry. The butler asks him not to flatter. Isaac wonders whether the butler really needs to be so strong. He looks like a battle butler from the manga. Suggesting we talk somewhere else, he leaves. Introducing himself, he says his name is Heinz von Dries, the boy. Isaac replies that he is Isaac Baumgartner. The butler says he knows. Isaac asks why he needs to get stronger. Isaac says he wants to protect my lady. The butler is surprised. He asks Isaac to imagine that he and Lady Lydia have stumbled on a group of villains and asks what they would do. Isaac replies he would grab her and run. The butler then asks if he was alone, and Isaac replies that he would have run away. The butler asks why. He says they might be armed and might get help, but there is not enough information about the facing that enemy. A kid like him can't do much, so he will run and hide or head to a safe place, even if he is alone. He seeks to protect the people around him, and the butler sighs. He says it's good and tells him that once or twice a week he will train in martial arts with him for a few hours, and they will coordinate the time with Denny's. His job is demanding, but at his age he can still do 50 push-ups, 50 squats, 50 sit-ups, and run 5 kilometers every day. Isaac feels happy. After a while he sits in the garden and he now constantly thinks about what he really wants to eat, and since he started training, he feels hungry all the time between jobs. Before eating, he puts his hands together and says a word Lydia approaches him and asks what documus means. Later, after eating, Isaac says another word, gakususama, and Lydia asks what he said earlier. Or after the meal, Isaac says it's like saying thank you for the food. She asks again. This is a form of gratitude. People thank the king for the food and also thank nature and other people. Before eating, it is customary to thank the king, but they may also thank the people. She notes he thinks in an unusual way. Isaac explains everyone at home is used to it, but it's a habit from the past. Lydia agrees it's essentially true and a good idea. Isaac smiles. Lydia asks why he's smiling. He says he just likes how careful she is. After listening, he asks whether she arrived like that or something else happened. Lydia tells him his mother wants him for tea at 3, so it should be. Ready, then she runs away. Isaac wonders whether he's being prepared for a reprimand or for something else and what it will be like. Isaac arrives at Lydia's house, and they sit at the table drinking tea while Lydia's mother cradles little Flora and smiles. Isaac is completely lost. The tea party should feel more relaxed. He feels awkward, and Milady probably seems a bit embarrassed. Isaac thanks me for the invitation and says he's fascinated to try the famous fruit-infused black tea for the first time. Lydia's mom says she's glad he liked it and tells him not to hesitate to ask for another. She has the cup and hopes to see him here again. It was not right that Diet delayed introducing them for so long. She wanted to be his friend as much as the Herald was. It wasn't fair that he was the only one who knew. Isaac says he will be happy to visit them. Mom is happy. Happy, she explains it was thanks to him that Diaz began wearing dresses in colors that match her much better. The colors matched. Eddie wore a forget-me-not dress and the Duchess wore purple. I remember when I first met Malady. She was wearing bright red. Mom says that even though Gia was stubborn, he was the one who seduced her. Gia shouts that no one seduced her. Isaac calls Dia's mom Mistress Octavia. Dia says that's hard to say all the time and suggests they call her Via, and Isaac admits he doesn't like long names and prefers shorter ones. He notices Milady staring at him with an unkind look, as if she did not want a commoner to address her mother so familiarly. Octavia says that if she is jealous, she should call her Dia to him. Milady says she is not jealous. My mother says that if so, then just let her call her and. In a friendly way, like a playful mother cat teasing an aggressive kitten. Milady won't be happy, but he seems to need to call the Duchess something simpler, and he doesn't want to. He tells his mom he will call her Akusen to upset Malady. She yells at him not to call her mom that weird nickname. Mom laughs and says she likes it. Milady blushed again. Isaac asks her to pass him the cup. She says he already has his own cup. Isaac insists, saying it's not that hard for him. For her, she hands him the cup and he takes it, thanking her. After holding the cup for a few minutes, he hands it back to Dea. She takes a sip and feels that the tea is cold. She asks how he did it. The tea was hot, but Isaac says he just cooled it with magic and asks Dee if iced tea really refreshes, and she presses him again on how he managed to use magic without making a sound, especially ice magic. Some say he favors 2 elements, but Isaac denies it and says he can use elements besides his main one, only a little. After the water, all the remaining man. On a move toward the wind, Via says it's the first time she's seen someone use magic outside their element, and Dia asks why it was so silent and how he managed it. Use the power, but don't call it magic. Isaac says he just asked the spirits for help. Dia asks how it could help instead of using her power to summon them. Isaac replies that he doesn't have enough power to summon them and can't even see them, and Lydia explains that an aristocrat's status depends on how much mana they can use to summon and control spirits, so the idea that spirits can just help is unrealistic. This is unthinkable. Isaac says he didn't know, but privately sees many problems with this aristocracy and worries he might be odd. Lydia says that's not the right word. Isaac thinks Lydia is fine, but Oakson agrees. Mom and Dad didn't react, so he didn't find it strange. Lydia is curious, too. Lydia asks how he managed to get the spirits to help. Isaac says they are used to him. Lydia is not. Understand how it is used. Isaac explains it requires respect. Spirits like to be shown respect. Lydia wonders if. That's all Isaac says, but there should still be offerings. Lydia asks how, and Isaac gives her a look as he remembers what his mother told him when he was very young. Knowing about perfume, he could not see the spirits, but when he checked if they ate sweets, he found that they did. 3 cookies sit on the plate. Isaac closes his eyes, presses his hands together, and when he opens them, he sees 1 cookie has a bite taken out of it. Lydia and Via are surprised. He asks whether they saw the spirits, and says it was so funny that sharing sweets with spirits became a habit. Lydia says it's delicious. Isaac suggests she try it herself. All she has to do is think that she is offering it to them. They will understand. Lydia agrees. Closing her eyes, she puts her hands together, bows, and opens. She opens her eyes and sees the little spirit eating her cookies. Mom, Lydia can hardly believe she did it. Laughing, they say it would be creepy if the perfume became heavy, so it's better not to overuse it. They finish their tea. My mother admits she is really glad Isaac is here. Isaac asks to hold little Flora. My mother agrees, saying that Having held it since the tea party began, her hands are numb. Thanking Isaac, she hands him Flora, Lydia. He shouts that she also wants to hold her. Isaac says she should wait until Flora can hold her head up. Lydia says that's not fair. She asks whether he has a brother or sister, since he seems not used to this. He says he is the only person in his family. In nearby households, both parents usually work, so neighbors leave their children with him and often ask him to look after them. She asks you to look after the kids, laughs and says he'll make a great son-in-law, and when Isaac doesn't understand, Viola laughs and tells him to ignore her and help himself. Thanking you, he notices an empty plate before him, cookies behind it, and M-Lady's young in his hands. His younger sister is there, and realizing he's stuck, he looks at you with a questioning look. He asks him what he wants from her, and the other man asks for a cookie. Lydia blushes as Isaac realizes he was so hungry he said something foolish, and he apologizes and he explains it's because of Flora. Lydia gives him a cookie, and he opens his mouth. Lydia hands him a cookie, he takes a bite. He eats it and thanks Melody, she hands him a. Isaac asks if another one is okay. All right, Lydia nods. He thanks her and eats a cookie. Next time he thinks he should bring something to thank him, he steps out onto the street. Someone recognizes him. Children on the street surround him, asking if he was sent on an errand and offering to play, and he says he's on a break while one girl asks what he just did. Isaac says he did strength training and met the standards set by Heinz's teacher. Someone grins and calls him a bony weakling. He says he's just getting started. The girl asks why he suddenly began training. He doesn't know what the big deal is that one girl says she can smell the other girl. She is a working-class Maljuska, and the only child, Maria, who is 4 years old, should not say that, so everyone laughs and says it is exactly true. A womanizer, he asks again what difference it makes and asks the boys if they want to protect their mothers and sisters too. He says there's nothing wrong with getting stronger for a woman. Johann, a working-class boy, says he'll get stronger for his mom, and Paul says he'll take care of his sister's boyfriend. Johann suggests they play nights to get stronger. Isaac says he can't because his mom has a lot to do for him. Maria is sorry but plans to pretend she let herself be cheated just this once. Isaac asks what she means. Coming home, he asks his mother what else she asked him to buy, and whether he should get more flour and eggs. My mother asks why, and Isaac says he wants to bake cookies and bring them to Melody because she treated him to tea and sweets, and he wants to thank her, which surprises my mother since Melody is the Duke's daughter. She asks what kind of girl she is. Isaac says her mood changes all the time, but she's very sweet and endearing. Mom can see he is clearly his father's son and wonders why she married him. He doesn't talk much, but he always says sweet things and buys gifts. That's how she ended up falling in love. He tells Isaac to be careful. Isaac asks again why. Mom explains he should avoid saying anything that could be misunderstood. Isaac says he always says what he thinks my mother believes, and that's the trouble she sent. Takes him shopping and lets him grab some eggs and flour. Leaving, he decides to take the eggs later. He notices the potatoes and hears people talking about something. A crowd stares at a strange glow and can't tell what is shining. Isaac pushes forward and spots a glint too. A boy stands there. Blonde hair is rare among commoners, so he's likely an aristocrat. Isaac asks the boy if he is lost. The boy remains silent. Isaac. Someone asks him again if he's lost. He stays silent, then admits it was more accidental than intentional. He can't find his way back, so he assumes he's lost. Everything around him flashes and sparkles. Isaac says there must be something wrong. The light is so bright it hurts to look. The boy says he's sorry. Isaac apologizes, takes off his cap and pulls it down over his head, saying he has nothing to apologize for and that he just doesn't like anything so out of the ordinary, especially when wearing a cap. This will be much better for him. Taking his hand, he asks him to come along. The boy asks where he is taking him. Isaac explains they can find someone on the main street who knows him because he was going to meet someone. Isaac trails off. Isaac had been told that if anything happened, we should go to the square with the fountain. He suggests we go there and walks forward, pulling the boy with him. Again, the boy asks how Isaac realized he was a noble, and Isaac says it shows in his clothes, but the boy replies he bought the plainest outfit with no frills. Isaac suggests he wear a wig for the decorations, because commoners rarely have blonde hair. He promises to be more careful next time. Isaac offers to lend his clothes if he asks, and the boy asks whether that is true and says he cannot contact the commoners at all. Isaac says his name is Isaac and that his father, Dennis Borgartner, is a gardener. He can find it by pretending to have an order for it, and the boy remembers that he knows the Duke's gardener. Isaac, being very smart, asks you not to look at him because he is too dazzling. The boy says this is the first time he's met someone like him, and he's had a lot of new experiences. And Isaac says he should be angry, but is oddly too nice, and the woman would be yelling at him by now. The boy says his father taught him to look at the world from different viewpoints, to keep his mind open to anything new, so he came here today to observe the lives of commoners. Remembering Lydia saying she might belong to the upper aristocracy, he notes that her age prevents her from answering those who hate and despise her, and tells the boy that only surrounded only by adults, children from noble families cannot behave like children, the boy asks. Again wondering how he knows this, Isaac says he sounds too grown up and could use more time making friends and playing. The boy thinks about the word. Squeezing Isaac's hand, he asks if Isaac will be his friend. Isaac grins and declines. He's not just blind. He's put off by many things, dislikes how he looks, and thinks like an adult, believing it is necessary. Laughing, the boy says he never expected to be rejected so harshly for his looks. Isaac suddenly realizes how strange he is. Laughing again, the boy says no one would bring it up and remembers he hasn't introduced himself. Taking off his cap, he introduces himself as Leo. Isaac claims he's too bright, that it makes him angry, and he carries it forward with him. Running down the street, they suddenly spot blooming hydrangeas, but something is wrong with them, and white hydrangeas are very rare, so this is the first time he's seen them. In the countryside, hydrangeas change color, depending on how close they are to magical elements. Often orange because of the earth element or blue because of the water element, an old man who runs a FL. According to the power shop, the ministry assigned him to study how hydrangea color depends on conditions to increase variability. Leo says he noticed they are rare and asks which element makes them white, but Isaac doesn't have time to finish. The door opens and a girl peers out, asking what they want with her family. Isaac notices Leo's startled face as the boy looks at the girl and can't understand why he's so stunned. The girl is very pretty, but the boy doesn't look like he's escaped a circus of freaks either. Isaac apologizes and says he's a gardener's apprentice and that the flowers are very rare. The girl repeats her question about why they are rare. Isaac asks whether they have white hydrangeas every year and who takes care of them. The girl says she is. Isaac feels he has overloaded her with his questions. He feels like a small animal's knob idol. Patting the girl's head, he explains it's his first time seeing white hydrangeas, so he wanted to know how they were grown like this because they are very beautiful, the girls. She trembles and says she only watered them. Isaac is surprised, and she proves to be far more amazing. He asks Leo what's going on with him. Isaac slaps him on the back of the head and asks what's wrong. He says nothing and asks not to pay attention. Isaac thanks to the girl for showing them these beautiful flowers and telling them. Leo has to go, bowing. She says she's always welcome, then she waves after them. Isaac thinks it. It might be worth asking about her element, but Leo says there is no reason. This girl has a lot of magical power. Her powers respond to her own magic instead of the soil, so her magic is far stronger than normal, which is rare for a commoner. Isaac asks what her magic is. It's unclear what the element is. Leo says he's never seen it before, and it could be the light or something else. A man runs around the corner. Leo recognizes Matthews, who is paying. Ranting and shouting that he finally found them where they were, he asks Leo who is with him. Leo says this is his escort and asks Isaac for permission to introduce him. He says it's his brother. Isaac thinks they don't look alike at all. Maddie says that thanks to him, he found his little brother who scared him to death, Isaac. Isaac thinks they can't be brothers. Maddie's offers to thank him. Isaac refuses, thinking the man is a servant or a guard. He says he needs to. Once he finishes his shopping, he will go, taking the cap off Leo's head and claiming it as his. Isaac waves as he leaves and promises they'll see each other again, but he doubts Leo will stay in touch and finds him too strange to get close to. He needed to buy some potatoes and eggs, and when he got home, he would make the lady some cookies. In the kitchen, Tia is turned down by the cook. She asks why it's okay for Isaac, and the cook says she's different from that kid. He can handle a small injury, but if she gets hurt, he fears he'll have a hard time. Lydia says she gets it. She steps outside and closes the door behind her, and the cook thinks the mistress has. Things have really changed since the schoolboy arrived, and Lydia thinks about how she can't make cookies. Describe how she will pay him back when they meet in the evening, and you hand it to him. Respond to the bag and ask Melody to take it. She asks what it is. He reminds her that she used to give him cookies at tea time. To thank her, he baked some homemade cookies. It turned out large and likely awkward to eat, but he would have liked to know how they tasted. Taking a bite of the cookie, she says it's delicious. They are different from the cookies in pastry shops. It amazes her that he can make food this delicious. He asks her if she liked it but stayed silent, thinking she would pay him back no matter what it took. All she knows about Isaac is that he likes gardening. His father's opinion matters to him when he eats. He seems happy. All the shiny things annoy him. That's everything she doesn't really know, Isaac. Don't tell me anything about yourself. He stays silent until she asks. That makes it his fault she knows nothing about him. She decides to beat every. Seeking what she needs from him, she goes to his garden, and he asks his father if he can come along. He pulls her along while Daya asks where they are going, and he tells her to just go. They'll notice soon enough. Tightening his grip, he asks whether you think so. Frank's hand is larger and warmer than hers. They are nearly there. Very little remains. They reach a thicket of bushes. Isaac tells her to follow and keep up, but she can't imagine. Despite having to wade through this, she still climbs, though she wonders why she is a noble. The girl should climb here. Isaac says it's just a little farther and she's almost there. A very bright light shines there, so she squeezes her eyes shut. Isaac shows her an amazing fountain and says it's all his. He is unsure whether this spot has always been part of the garden. Isaac says his grandfather and father trained here as apprentices, and now his father has given him permission. It is the place where a generation of Baumgartners learned the art of gardening. He has many things he wants to try, so he will buy seeds with the money he saves. Lydia asks again, it's okay that he told her all this. I assumed it would be a secret. She says it, pleading. That won't help. She asks to turn the place into a garden she likes. Isaac, who had already received so much from her, asks her to keep it secret and thanks her. Melody promises it will be a great place. Isaac says it's the best birthday present he's ever received from his father. Lydia asks when his birthday is, and he replies it's in May. Jen notices it was also a month ago and asks what he would like as a gift. Isaac says he received so much from her. The letters she wrote in her own hand made him very happy and were his treasure besides. Her smile always makes him happy, and Lydia smiles and wishes. It's his birthday, and she's smiling at him right now. He thanks her. Lydia and Isaac are reading a bit of. Nvidia says he reads without expression and tells you to put your heart into it, noting that even Katrina reads better than him, and he asks if Katrina can read it herself, but it turns out she can read it on her own except for Jet. Without that, he won't learn anything. She shows them the book and says they'll read it next. Isaac says he expects them to continue reading seriously. Feeling tired, he flips through the book and notes that all her books are about princes. Lydia explains they remove curses and drive out evil spirits, and she finds it very romantic. Isaac asks why their hair is so shiny. She says this is a mark of royalty, Isaac. Members noticed the Duke's hair was visible too. She says Grandma Papa was a queen, which is why she puts on airs. That's why the Duke is so radiant. As for her, bye 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 bye. Her hair is much prettier than that sparkle, and it doesn't hurt her eyes as much. Agrees to read it now, this time. He will try to put in more feeling. Lydia gets angry and tells him to read his whole life until the end of the century, so many. Katrina giggles and asks if it was only a curse. A maid tells Lydia that Mistress Octavia is calling for her. Lydia goes to her mother's room and asks what Mistress Octavia wanted to talk to her about. Octavia tells her daughter she has received an invitation. They're pulling weeds outside in the heat. He can't hide from them and there's no end in sight. I wish he had an assistant. The estate hasn't been divided by inheritance, so it's enormous. In the capital, they say this is a real test for gardeners. Those who want to work are not closely watched, so he is the only student. Singing it might lift his spirits. In his previous life, his little sister used to make him sing karaoke with her. Lydia approaches. She tells him the spirits really like the songs. Isaac asks whether she can see them. He cannot see them here but feels their presence. One is playing just behind his head. Lydia confirms this and asks what he was humming. The conversation turns to whether this is a war song or an opera. Isaac says it is an anime song. Lydia asks what anime is. Isaac says his sister taught him, so he is not really sure, but it sounds like something chanted during a battle, and Lydia asks again. He asks him again which sister he means. Isaac is shocked to learn he's not an only child. The man blurts out without thinking that she's from a previous life, so she's like a. Isaac's sister is present, and Lydia realizes he really has one, but Isaac can't tell if she is offended, so he asks what happened and what she wants to say, and she tells him she is offended. Pulling out an envelope, she says she received an invitation. My mother gave it to me today. An invitation to the Crown Prince's birthday ball has arrived. Isaac is surprised and someone wishes her luck, and she finally gets the chance to see the prince in his natural habitat, but Tess says now is not the time for that. This is her first public appearance, her debut at the Crown Prince's ball, and she doesn't even know how to dance properly, so Isaac reassures me everything will be fine and she asks how that can be, and Isaac says she's simply wonderful. Rest assured, everything will be fine. As the Duke's most precious daughter, Lydia is asked again to confirm this and reassured that her parents will not be disappointed, and Isaac says they will be proud of her. Lydia asks again whether everything will be all right. He tells her not to worry and to be herself. She asks whether he truly believes that. He reassures her that there is nothing to worry about. It's out of the ordinary and only says it's not a. Give a compliment. I'm not used to seeing Milady like this. She's so nervous, and Isaac tells her to enjoy herself there. Milady grabs his hand and urges him to come with her, clearly very worried. Isaac reminds me the Duke will be there. Milady says she prefers him at her side, but Isaac refuses. He can't go because he is a commoner, which she understands, and he asks her to agree. Milady giggled at the idea that he would look like a scarecrow in a decent outfit. He apologizes for asking the impossible, tells her not to get it into her head, and asks why she is so worried about everything. Her position will let her dance with the crown prince, but her dance teacher has never praised her, and she is worried that she'll be a bad partner with only 1 month left before the ball. Isaac tells her to relax and promises they will prepare together. She refuses to let her parents find out she hid her failures and promises to keep the class secret. He knows a great place and they will succeed. Lydia is surprised they'll be practicing dance in secret. Isaac leads me somewhere and asks me about him. This is an abandoned summer pavilion. Lydia agrees. Here people secretly practice dancing in the summer pavilion, which sits next to a rarely used detached building, and the pavilion is not used because it is not the season. Isaac says they'll do a good job, and she wonders if he's trying to cheer her up. Let him be her partner then. Isaac admits he can't dance. Lydia will teach him the basics. The ideal partner is someone near her height. Isaac says it isn't his idea, but he agrees for the sake of a lady. They train in combat with Heinz. That's enough for today. Isaac thinks he's not even sweating since his sweat glands were removed along with his emotions. Heinz notices his posture has improved. He asks. When asked what else he does, Isaac doesn't know what to say, so he says he started warming up for weight training. Surprised, Heinz asks him to keep going in the same spirit, and he will now spend the time set aside for conversations on classes. To avoid getting her clothes dirty, he puts on an apron. He was diligently learning the basic steps of the waltz. This likely explains why his posture has improved, and then, starting one day before the appointed time, he asks Melody whether he can help her. She replies that, of course, she usually did it herself, and that she clearly began dancing better with him. Someone is happy about that. Gio is nervous, and he says the class was very helpful. He is grateful to her, and Isaac says he has prepared a reward for her. For good luck, he gives her a gift since he can't go with her, and offers to take the talisman. I made a small rose in the greenhouse, but the ribbon is cheap, so if she doesn't like it, let her throw it away. Lydia says she would never get rid of it because it's so wonderful, she promises. She will do her best tomorrow, and Isaac tells her not to worry. It's not too much because she'll see the crown prince in person. Lydia promises she'll be fine, and if anything she'll think of. People immediately relax about him when she introduces him. Isaac says she seems kind of condescending toward him. Lydia tells him that she actually. He is praised in a way, but he does not understand these dances, shamans, balls, and other nonsense the nobles call an honor, and he hopes the feelings he put into the talisman will matter. Will be able to support her, and truly hopes Lydia could dance with the prince in the most wonderful dance of the ball. My father usually apologizes to Diameter. They used to go after tea, but that has not been possible since Flora was born. Dia asks her father not to apologize. She is genuinely happy to have a little sister. They go to the king. When the carriage stops, the Duke offers his hand to his daughter and asks her to take it. Jep calls her a princess and says it is not polite to say that before His Royal Highness. Her father agrees and suggests calling her his. Behind them they hear chatter as people say this is Duke Ernest, the head of the 3 ministries, and that he is as beautiful as the rumors say, while someone asks who the young lady is since she looks like a cute doll. They enter the palace to the sound of mumbling voices. He notices he is not as nervous as he thought, and replies that she is very worried about making a mistake in front of the royals. When he's with her, she calms down. My father is proud. The girl squeezes his hand. Her father says they will leave when she wants, though he thinks they should go now. Diane notices they never even congratulated the prince. Her father sighs and says he doesn't want her to meet him. Dia asks why. The Duke says he only met him briefly, but from the conversations, he has an impeccable reputation. Even at his age, he is very intelligent and thinks deeply about others, and if he keeps this up, people say he will become the wisest. King, Jess says she has heard that his hair and eyes shine, and his inner world is just as wonderful. The Duke says it is, but he still doesn't. She wants to go there. He sees a ribbon with a rose on her arm and says she hasn't worn it before. Someone explains that it's a lucky charm. The Duke smiles, calls her cute, and adds that Isaac knows what suits you best. She blushes. This is a fascinating use of water magic to turn a dried flower back into a fresh one, and it is a difficult, painstaking process. My father says it's an amazing piece of magic and worth asking how he did it. Gia asks why that would be, and the Duke says he seems to have been tactless. Her friend is wonderful, she agrees. They enter the hall and someone calls to the Duke that he is here too. This is Zinveric. The herald asks if he has also come with his daughter. He tells Ya that Zinveric is a vice knight of the royal order. Claiming to be a man of chivalry, Zinveric von August introduces himself and says it is an honor to meet such a lady, and Jess replies that her name is Lydia von Ernest and that she heard her father speak of his departure, and Zinveric laughs and says it happened while they were under his care. Jux exchanges a glance with his daughter and introduces her as Tordelis. She says she is the eldest daughter of Marquis Augustus Tordelis, and it is an honor to meet the young lady of the Ernest Duchy. Smiling, the Duke compares her to a little rabbit and asks her not to be so nervous. Zenoric demands the Duke not seduce his daughter with this face. He says he only seduces. His wife Dia tells Mr. Delise this is the first time she has had the privilege of speaking with a young woman her own age. Age wouldn't bother her, and she'd like to be friends with her. Tordlis takes her hand and says she doesn't deserve the honor of being with her. Zenveric and Gerald scan the room and see there are an equal number of boys and girls. If they were grown-ups, it would look shabby, the heralds. He explains he didn't bring Viad just because Flora is too small, and Zinveric adds he came because Lisa wanted to see His Highness. Welcoming music plays. Everyone stops their idle chatter and bows respectfully. Princess Gertrude is first, Princess Germaine is second, and Prince Klaus is third. King Troget also appears in the hall and asks the ladies and gentlemen to raise their hand. Thanking the fans for attending his son's birthday ball, he asks them to enjoy the holiday and says he has already taken too much attention from today's star, so without further ado. He introduces them to the hero of the occasion, and a boy steps forward, radiating. Gradients extend in every direction. Guests applaud to welcome him. Introducing himself as Roy Leonard, the boy thanks everyone for coming on this hot day to celebrate his birthday. Although young and inexperienced, he hopes to help his father and serve others, urges people to use their strength for the country's good, and is grateful for the chance to meet young comrades who will support the nation. Looks ahead and invites a joint discussion about the country's future. Everyone applauds. Zenweric believes people praise his actions because of his looks, and the herald sees he is the only one who thinks that. The herald sees Dio, gazing at the prince with admiration and fears she will stop calling him the best. Zenweric tells him to be happy. She actually said that. The prince comes down into the hall. Approaching the Duke, he asks whether he really is Duke. The Duke answers. They answer yes, saying it is a great honor to be known by the prince, and that they are happy to congratulate him. He thanks them and says he has heard of his achievements and looks great today. The herald is flattered to hear this from their lordships. Everyone is watching them. The prince focuses on the girl standing beside him. Someone asks who it is, and the Duke replies that it is his daughter Lydia, who says she is pleased to meet you, introduces herself as Lydia von Ernest, and wishes the prince a happy birthday. He studies her closely, then. He asks if he can invite her to dance. Lydia says she would be honored. They dance together. Noticing she's a wonderful dancer, the prince knows he chose well for his first partner. She is surprised it's his first and says he seems very experienced. He explains he had private lessons. She says it's the same as hers. Young nobles rarely get chances to socialize. He begged his father for this chance tonight. It's, as expected, it feels used. Pays a tea. She pays attention to his words, but he says the adults will not hear them, so she can speak calmly, and he asks to be called by name. Smiling, she says she understands him and calls him Roy. Hearing this, Enzo is pleased and believes Joe is the right choice. Dia asks why he picked her. He says it's because she spoke to him differently. Earlier, he had met a few people, but they were either too excited or too wrapped up in talking to him. To him, meeting her just as he was about to give up kept his hope alive. Jeff thanks him, she remembers. Isaac told her it was very important to have a friend to talk to. She's also glad she can talk to him. When the dance ends, the people around them clap. After the ball, they drive home. Dia asks her father if she was. That was rude. He says she was a beautiful lady. The crown prince turned out to be even more adorable than people said. and thanks to the talisman, she stayed completely calm around Roy and during the dance. Her father asks if she would be happy to marry the crown prince. She can hardly believe it, calls it a fairy tale, and says it would be a dream come true. Her father tells her he must tell her the truth. Today the birthday boy was supposed to choose a potential bride, and Diab became the contender. She can become a prince. Are you always surprised that she is a candidate to be the bride? She says today should just be a celebration of the prince's birthday, and my father confirms it. Of course, that was the main goal. The prince may or may not have known, but the king had arranged the feast with that intent. De remembers the prince saying he felt used. Even knowing that, he showed up anyway. The duke says they're still discussing it, but if she wants it, he will support her. When night falls, she goes to bed. Outside the window, birds sing. Da can't sleep again. Since she became a bride-to-be, everything around her felt like a dream. Her father told her to let him know as soon as she made up her mind, and if she chose not to, he would refuse. Father cannot defy the king's wishes. Someone is knocking at her door. Katrina enters, says good morning, and tells her that Jill looks very tired. He tells him Isaac is not coming today and asks whether she should take a break after lunch, and Gio is upset about it. She would not want to see him now, even if he came, the picture asks. She doesn't know why or what to do. She goes over to him alone and finds Isaac in the garden. He asks how the party went and whether they danced well. She says her father even praised her and that she made a friend. The message praises her and says she is doing well. He asks whether she has seen the wild prince. At a loss, Jed says he's just amazing, like someone from a picture book, and she tries to say something to Isaac. Then she changes her mind and says nothing. At night, she goes out onto the balcony and thinks about why she never told Isaac she was a bride candidate. Until today, she had told him everything. Confused, Dia doesn't understand what's happening to her. Although glad to be chosen, she can't understand why she didn't tell Isaac. Her silence left her unsure what to say to him. Catherine asks whether it was unusual that she didn't tell him. She believes. Makes clear Judd does not have to tell everything and can choose who to trust with her innermost secrets. You might feel guilty about keeping it secret, but even if you don't feel guilty, it's still not a secret, she asked. Whether Lydia wants to tell Isaac about this. She's not sure. Katrina takes her hand, begs her for G, and tells her to do what she thinks best. She will always stand by her. She is unlikely to be able to help, but Jeff thanks her and says that she is much better now, even if she can't share that yet. She would tell him everything one day. Isaac meets Leo on the street again and apologizes for being so late. Isaac calls him an idiot and demands to know what kind of letter it is, asking if he had not told him to send it. He admits he couldn't read it and demands that Leo not overestimate the commoner's abilities, saying he wasn't thinking and is an idiot. The letter could have been much clearer. He couldn't read it, but if Leo was here to learn about the lives of ordinary people, that was more than enough. Leo promises he will do everything he can. Isaac notices he's beaming even when he's just smiling and doesn't like it, and he's wearing a wig and has a security detail. Leo laughs and asks if that makes him look more like Brother Matthews now. Isaac thinks it's definitely better than last time, but the clothes don't fit, so he asks him to come along. The other asks where, and Isaac says he's going to his house. They arrive home. My mother greets them, says they are not well off, and asks them to make themselves at home. My mother says he brought home a friend from the nobility, and she thought the young lady would be the first noble guest here. Isaac says the city's streets are too dangerous for the beautiful milady and that people there are not on his side, so he calls Leo to follow and offers to lend him his clothes. Leo follows him up and they enter the room. Isaac pulls out his clothes and offers them to Leo to wear. They are plain commoner clothes. Isaac says he will step outside and that Leo should call if he needs anything. Standing outside the door, he waits for Leo to change. Leo calls out to him saying, "He is very kind." Isaac asks why, Leo's. He says the name he uses may be fictitious. After he gave his real name, the other man, though not a friend, was polite and let him in. Isaac says asking him about it proves he can't be bad. If his identity were unknown, Modus wouldn't have allowed him to go with him. He is sure the nobles have ways to find out about it. That person was helped mainly because he is problematic. Leo laughs. He likes being called problematic. Isaac thinks he has a strange sense of humor. He apologizes and calls her really weird. It is very unusual, simply put, Leo. He leaves the room, saying he's very glad they met, and Isaac stares at him. Leo asks what is wrong, and Isaac. He says it's not fair, those are his clothes and he looks great in anything. Someone asks for forgiveness, looks around and sees Marius. This is a local kid, Maria asks. He asks who it is. Smiling, Leo says he knows her name is Maria, that it's a beautiful name and that he's pleased to meet you. Isaac says it's Leo. Maria looks confused, and Isaac shouts that it's Leo. This isn't what Isaac thought. Leo says Isaac actually lost to him. Isaac asks whether Dio wants to play with the kids or just stare outside. Dio thinks and says he'd rather play than just look around, and Isaac agrees and calls him outside. On the street, some guys ask who he is. They had not seen him before. The boy says his name is Leo and that he is pleased to meet you. The guys get acquainted. Paul and Johan give their names and ask Isaac if he is in love with you. If they are right to think this is his friend, he insists he is not. Leo laughs. They are going to play. Johan shouts he will give him no slack. Because he is Isaac's friend, he says thanks and shows he likes him. He laughs, and Johan challenged him to a game of hide and seek to decide who was best, but he didn't know the place well, and Leo says that's why he's here with him. You can search the streets for a place to hide from the enemy, accomplishing two things at once. Isaac says he takes the game too seriously. Two of them are too big to hide anywhere. They suddenly spot a patrol of guards on the streets. Isaac asks Leo if he recognizes them. Leo replies that he does and warns it would be bad for him if they noticed him. There is nowhere to hide, so Isaac points to the other side where he can hide. They slip into an alley with Isaac blocking Leo's path and stay quiet until they pass. Shadow spirits should be in the shadows here. You may ask them to hide. They take cover. Security passes them by. They say they stand guard during holidays with that much food are just torture. The drinks must have been good too. It's a royal celebration after all. One of them says they're on duty and tells you to keep your opinion to yourself. Isaac and Leo realize others have apparently left. He apologizes and says he seems able to use Shadowman's magic. Isaac explains that its element is actually water. Compatibility with other elements is not zero, and as a noble he must have a lot of energy, so he should be capable of much more, and Leo says he'll try again next. Over time, he learns many new things alongside him. Isaac asks what he means since they're just playing right now. Leo keeps talking about studying when you should be doing it with full effort. That's what it means to be a child. Leo agrees with him. He managed to hide and Johan broke down in tears. He lashed out at him, though he didn't know why. Prince adapts easily to life on the streets, and Dolly asks Catherine how much time is left until the next lesson. She says she has 1 hour. Lydia's heading out for a short walk. Catherine is staying cautious and had been worried about meeting Isaac earlier, but she's fine now. He now works in the garden by his leaves. Lydia calls to him, and Isaac says she's on time and grabs her hand. He offers her a peek into his garden. Lydia asks him again what his garden is. He explained what it is. He planted some seeds. The clover blossoms surround her as she looks around. She asks if he planted them himself. He suggests she walk through the flowers, but she doubts it's the right spot and can't risk ruining what he's worked so hard on. Then he asks her to dance and grabs her. Their hands dance. Isaac finds it hard to dance here, and Lydia agrees. She asks why he's doing this. He replies that it's a secret. She wants to speak but says she'll do it another time. Isaac says he'll tell you next time as well. They dance among the clover flowers. 2 days later, the prince is staying at the Duke's house, and the Duke thanks him for coming so far. The prince apologizes for the intrusion, saying he wanted to see the famous garden, and the Duke will ask Lydia to accompany him. The prince gives him the book and says he wants the Duke to consider the offer. The Duke flips through the notes and asks if he understood correctly. He says it was their Majesty who signed it, and that the document is only a draft. The Duke promises to answer before he leaves and asks Lydia if he can rely on her. Lydia nods. She invites the prince into the garden, where a table is set for tea. The prince is surprised that flowers still bloom here in autumn. Nature here offers more surprises than the castle. Lydia is sure their gardener would be pleased to hear what he said. Now that they're finally alone, Lydia says she wants to talk about the proposal they made earlier to her father. Prince Roy says it must be him because Duke Ernst is responsible for the country's education, so he came today. She already understands the education system, so honestly these are his selfish thoughts. His father will understand right away. That is why he spoke to the Duke today. Asked if it's bad for His Highness to find out, the prince says it's a huge risk because his father will no doubt stop him. Stop him, one day he will be king and will accept the power and responsibility. But he has a dream he wants to fulfill. To do this, he needs a partner, Lydia. Someone asks whether this partner is really her. Roy confirms the visit is his way of thanking her for coming to the holiday, and he also wanted to talk to his potential bride. He needs to buy. Before entering, he needs a fiancé so he won't make a fuss. The Arrest family is an exact match in both rank and bloodline. Most importantly, If he were choosing a political bride, he would pick her. He says she still needs time to think, suggests we get to know each other first, and wants to see if we can trust her. She does not want to do the same. The prince thinks that is wonderful, and she has the right to do so. Takes advantage of her so she can do the same. Lydia asks for time to think it over. The prince smiles and agrees. This suggests setting a day. Diaz says she is still a candidate, and the prince allows her to tell others. You don't need to hide anything from your friends. He plans to use this to stay in touch with Duke Ernst. Lydia sees he is using her as an excuse. Roy enjoys talking this over with her, so the Duke will. Coming second won't help, she says, but she can give him enough and the prince thanks her. Lydia thinks he is soft. The prince asks whether she dislikes him. Instead, she says the opposite is true. If Roy was engaged to her, the risks must be growing. She called off the engagement. Her family might be in trouble. Roy allowed it. He took time to think, knowing his actions would shape the future. Roy is a respected man. Being engaged to a prince is a great honor. At a loss for words, she does not know what to say to him. Isaac approaches her. Someone asks if everything is all right while Lydia seems distant, and Lydia says she was just thinking. He tells her he wanted to tell her his secret today and asks her to come with him. He tells her he wants to please her and finds a 4-leaf clover. She is surprised to find clover in his garden. Isaac says there's a lot of it here. They were fine until she walked through them. She's even more surprised, and Isaac is too. She says that a new leaf grows whenever she steps on a clover and asks why he did not do it himself. Music says it must be her, because luck follows her wherever she goes. Not knowing why she's upset, he figures if she keeps going it will be just fine. Lydia is in tears. Isaac doesn't know what. It happened, he only wanted to support her, and he calls himself insensitive and is sorry he doesn't know anything. Lydia was afraid that her choice was wrong, but Isaac. He showed that happiness would follow her. He inspired her to do her best and move forward. It would be wonderful if those words moved her. Happy, she tells Isaac she once met the prince at a party. He was a wonderful person, a good dancer and very kind and recognized for her intelligence. She was chosen as a potential bride, and when they met again, he said she was suitable. Candidate, admiring the brides and princes in the books, she never thought she would be one. One of them, surprised, she did not know what to do, even though it was A. It was a great honor, and Isaac agrees with her that she certainly was. Surprised, he admits he never even thought about love or marriage. Isaac says she is younger and still a kid. She was right to worry. It is hard to cope with this and with lessons in marriage and it's natural to worry. He asks her whether this is the final decision. Lydia says Sir Roy told her to think it over. Isaac advises you to take your time. The prince isn't a bad person, so she doesn't need to rush such a difficult decision. Stay present and things will work out. Agreeing with him, she says she is still a candidate. Isaac claims everything is fine as long as she's happy, but he wonders why he cares only about her. Isaac says he does not know the prince and would rather she be happy than think about the stranger. She remembers her father asking her to tell him when she decided, saying he would refuse if she did not want to, and Catherine advising her to do as she saw fit. She had no idea how many people wished her happiness, and that made her very lucky. She asks Isaac for permission to take the clover home. Lawson, Lydia wants to make bookmarks from this clover, then thank everyone on her behalf. Good luck to Isaac. She doesn't know what to do. Now that he's grown, he has no books. He says that he is a fool. All this time he thought he had grown a garden for her, but he can leave and go somewhere before he grows up. I wish he'd grow up faster. That night he dreams of his past life and wakes up. He picks it up and goes to wash his face. He acts dishonorably and thinks he's cold. Several months had passed since Milady told him about her engagement to the prince. Their relationship hadn't changed much since then. The only difference was that Milady came to the garden less often because the prince met with her twice and a month in he is curious and has never seen the prince. In both his past life and here, a love marriage unites ordinary people. He does not know much about politics. Marriages, Milady and Prince are younger than him. It must be hard to think about marriage before. He knows not to get involved. They value different things. He understands, but he wants her to marry for love. He was genuinely surprised when Milady began to cry. They were happy tears, but he still did not want to see her. He wants her to never cry and always be happy. There's nothing he can do as a commoner, but he hopes she will find happiness. He means that's all he can do. Lydia calls out to him. He asks who he's talking to, and Isaac says it's with a rabbit. She asks again which rabbit. Isaac shows her the rabbit. She says he's cute, and as she reaches to pet him, Isaac pulls him away. Isaac explains that it's made of snow, that he cleaned off dirty snow, that she can get frostbite on her hands without gloves so she shouldn't touch it, and that it inflates. Isaac thinks she might like him. He asks whether she should have been sent to her room at one point. He will make it from pure snow, but thinks it should stay on the terrace. Happy, she asks him to promise, and says she will ask her father to use magic to keep him from melting. Isaac promises and makes a hair. Sam asks Melody how she's doing. If the prince arrived yesterday, she says he looked beautiful in his elegant white dress. Isaac thinks about her coming here. Here again, Melody must think it's inappropriate to talk about her handsome prince, so she talks about him to him instead of to her mother or Ms. Catherine, and she tells me that Sir Roy seems to have a sister whose hair is the same color, and she's very cute, and at the same time she seems to be showing off her friend and her idol. He looks really happy, and it seems they have become friends. Lydia, 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 Lydia. She says she told the prince about Flora, and Isaac notices she looks very cute when she talks about him, and that her smile suits her very well. For some reason, he always annoys her. She asks him to repeat what he just said. Isaac clarifies that he may have misspoken. Wrong, he apologizes, says he has been listening closely. Melody says that's enough for today. Isaac apologizes if he said anything odd. She leaves, and he does not know what he did to make her angry again. He is trying to be careful, and once again he learned that being present mattered. For now, he would look at Milady's smile and listen to it as often as he could. My father appears. In the garden, he tells his father he did not avoid work. He just wants to help with the greenhouse work too. My father refuses. Isaac says he cannot let Lydia come here when it's cold. My father agrees. Isaac told her he would like to be an adult as soon as possible. He wants to be a gardener, a modest goal since he doesn't see gardening as a real profession, but he can learn it easily and even started early, though he is not sure he will succeed. Before Melody's wedding, it's probably not necessary. He doesn't need to worry about the future. You just need to work hard and do everything in your power. Lydia, go to bed. She thinks simply giving it away will make it so. Hard, she opens the box and studies the four-leaf clover. She easily gave the four-leaf clover bookmarks to her father and Catherine. Still, she can't picture giving it to Isaac now. With no books, a bookmark would be useless. He also lacks fancy clothes, which is a problem, and he certainly won't accept anything expensive, she thinks about. It seemed she had once worried about what she should do, and then he replied. Either way, he would be happy as long as she was. She tosses around. Lying in bed, he wonders why he's always like this. Even today, he said she was very cute when she talked about the prince. Wanting to talk longer today because she wouldn't be able to see him tomorrow, she looks at the rabbit and thinks again about what she can give Isaac besides a smile. She plans to talk to Catherine tomorrow. She thanks the rabbit and wishes him a good night. Every morning she wakes up, goes out to the terrace, and greets a cute rabbit. Isaac is shoveling snow while she watches. Rushes to him. Calling her a fool, he says she will catch a cold, takes off his jacket, and wraps it around Melody. She says she is his. He says it's fine. At work, he even looks attractive. Isaac asks why she is here. Militia says she saw him from the terrace, and he tells her she does not have to come running just because he is here. Lydia tells me today is her birthday. Some of the other young women are throwing her a party. She thought she wouldn't be able to see it today, and Isaac laughs, saying they can see each other another time. She says they cannot meet again because she had to put her. She didn't need to worry about him. Her real worry was catching a cold. He wonders whether he should be concerned about her. Melini vows to be more careful next time. He pats her on the head and says it is beautiful, he offers. Eddie goes to see her off before Katrina wakes her. He does not want to go back. She wants to be with Isaac. Head to the castle. Isaac asks her to look up. Activating water magic, he says it's his birthday present, and it forms a rainbow. Made with water magic, it is beautiful. He wishes her a happy birthday. Lydia thanks him, she asked. He agrees to repeat it next year. No need to worry yet. They should appreciate the present. Other girls gather at the castle to congratulate Lydia on her birthday, and she thanks them all. She knows they are young women from other families, just like Mom said. Some flatter and stare with jealousy, others claim to be candidates, and still others praise her to gain favor. It's all because she's a strong candidate to be the prince's bride. My mother said she will find out who her true friend is at the festival today. Think of being a candidate as a good opportunity. In other words, she must use Sir Roy. She remembers Sir Roy saying something similar and suggesting she use it. She thinks his offer is worth considering, and a girl calls out to her. Here is Lady Tortoise. Lady Tortoise says it's been a very long time. They have not seen each other in a long time. Tortle is pleased to have met her again. Lydia says she is happy too. They squeal with joy. She wanted to ask her something. Turdleys asks what it is about. Lydia wonders what kind of gift she would give a man. As she asks again who she'll give it to, she adds that it won't be useful if it's about Sir Gerald, but recently she gave her father a silver pendant. Silver, not expensive. My father uses a sword so he doesn't wear rings and dislikes them because they scratch. Lee believes Isaac is wearing gloves, so the ring won't fit, but the pendant is inexpensive and impressive. Won't interfere with work or cause scratches. She knows this is it. She asks Tortoise where she bought it. Tortoise says it will be yours soon. There are plenty of things to worry about. Lydia remembers that Yule is a winter holiday. Celebrated in December, people sing songs of thanks, and parents give gifts to children to pray for their good luck. On this day, children give gifts to their parents, brothers, sisters, and friends. She can give Isaac a present that day. Lydia thanks Lady Tortellis and must prepare again. Gift, she hopes he will like it, his little. Stuck, the sister asks for help. T-Chai asks what she wants. She explains this is an autumn game and that the tactical RPG part is too complicated. He says he just got back, which is the first thing she asks him, and he says that he is. He's good at it, so he should help, but T-Chai insists she's terrible, is always playing some brain teaser, and demands he show his little clueless sister how to play, so he agrees because he has no choice. Convinced she was stuck forever, she's going to get a good ending and thanks him. He hears someone. His mother calls Isaac, and when he opens his eyes, he sees her trying to wake him. She tells him it's time to get up, to wash up and eat breakfast, and to hurry because Dennis has already left. Isaac considers dreaming again about his past life and tries to recall the name of the character Yuka mentioned. He probably heard it. In any case, he's not interested in autumn games. He heads into the greenhouse. Juck calls to him. Isaac wants to know why she always comes to tea. He asks Dennis if she and I can take the job, and Dennis agrees because they're just taking a break. Isaac sees his father give a rare smile and thinks of him as a bear. There is also a cat, and he seems a little happy to see the father talk to the child without hesitation. Catherine pours out the tea, bows, and gets ready to leave. Isaac asks if she would like to join them. She explains she still has a lot to do. He suspects she may be trying to be polite, and that his father has left too. He asks M-Lady why she chose to have tea here, and she explains. People relax here together, usually standing and talking in the garden, and others would notice if they were sitting comfortably. This is the only place where a commoner like him and Milady can enjoy tea in peace. It's much nicer to drink tea with someone than alone. Isaac asks why she doesn't have tea with Katrina. Joe admits she doesn't have the courage to ask. Thinking she must be worried that her request will sound like an order and that she takes Katrina's personality into account, he asks if he can invite her, but Lydia refuses. She says she's on her own. Isaac agrees that she's trying hard, and Melissa is likely shy and afraid to show her true self. When they first met, she hid behind her title and acted brash. It is easier to hurt a person if they show their true. He says she's gotten stronger, and that would scare her and anyone else. Rita asks whether it's a compliment, then agrees and says she's very cool. To him, she was better than the prince. Jess says it's because he hasn't met his highness and blames the prince's manners. Isaac agrees with her. He realizes the familiar talk about the prince has started and admires Milady because in his past life he couldn't be himself, so he hid his pain, died without showing his true self, and now thinks he's a jerk. Find out how Yuka, his younger sister, is doing now after his death. I know her, and I'm sure she's still happily playing autumn games. By the way, here's the situation, a big how. A well-kept, beautiful garden and a striking blonde, much like the world of a typical fantasy game. Next is Sir Roy. He recalls his sister saying she thought she'd be stuck forever, but now she can have a happy ending with Sir Roy. Thanking him for it, he remembers asking whether that guy had crazy stats because his skills and levels didn't match the other guys. Euchre said he wasn't that guy but Sir Roy. He didn't dislike strong characters, but she was terrible at acting. He kept asking why she couldn't win if he was so strong, and you would say there are walls that can't be overcome by level alone. Alone, speaking of barriers to love, Sir Roy has a sweet, likable fiancé, he asked. He asked his sister what she liked, and she showed him a photo on her phone. The candidate to be Sir Royce's bride is Lady Lydia von Ernst. He remembers a photo on his phone and realizes it shows Milady and Sir Roy Milady engaged. Her full name matches Milady's. That might be a coincidence. It's the only thing he remembers from Yuki's minigame. He begins to recall that in the game Sir Roy's. RLJ Leonard von Rosengien was the first prince of the Kingdom of Avento. Each character has a unique magic element, and there are 7 in all, every year. The year has 12 months, and the seasons match Japan's. A magic academy trains many noble students, and commoners may enter only if they meet the requirements. The setting closely resembles a typical fantasy game world. Isaac realizes this is an autumn game world, but for him it's the real world, and since it's based on the game, he's not sure whether he should pay it. Someone points out something and thinks we need to calm down. As he sips his tea, Lydia screams that he's not listening to her. Isaac says he's listening, of course, but he's thinking about. The game was supposed to be called Your Star, but he wasn't there, and the problem is with her. On the branch with Sir Roy, Milady is one of the bride candidates, and her heart is broken there, but she neither destroys herself nor loses her life. A relieved sigh brings comfort, but then, even those memories are useless, and Eddie and he are safe no matter what. He wonders what the branch is and why he even thinks about it. It would have surprised him if Milady still loved Sir Roy as she did in the game. Dee adds that Sir Roy is Relia. It was amazing even at the last meeting. In the game, this political marriage will end in romance, and my lady will be happy. She might be rejected. Isaac doesn't want her to cry and has no idea what to do. If my lady falls for Sir Roy, they will enter the Magic Academy together to support one another. Although a commoner, he could do the same if he had enough magic. The schools and magic in this world are very. This is interesting. Malady also teaches him to write, and since he needs as much magic as possible, it's time to level up as much as possible. If he had met Malady again, he would not. He had thought of such a thing. Being with Milady gave him many opportunities, for example. This tea, commoners cannot drink red tea, but he can because he is with her. Wanting to show Milady the garden makes him try harder and have more fun. He says out loud he's glad they met, and Jet doesn't know what he means, gets angry and shouts. She thinks he is not listening to her again. Isaac realizes he has upset her again, but she seems more confused than angry. According to him, she now wants to talk about Flora. He agrees but thinks it was a prince first and a sister now. Dia checks her watch and says it's time to go. Isaac offers to go with her, but Malady refuses since Katrina is coming to pick her up. Malady holds out her hand with the paw. Someone asks him to take it, and he picks things up. It looks like a pendant. He likes it, but it doesn't fit Melody. He opens it. She looks inside the four-leaf clover she picked in his garden. He says the pendant is cute like her. Melody looks confused and asks why he says that. Isaac says he'll just talk to himself then, but Jeff says it doesn't matter. His face gives it away. Isaac asks if they would be better off not talking. Lydia says she doesn't want to do that. Isaac is glad and asks whether it is. You say it's a clone of him. He doesn't know what she's talking about. Melody says she made the book. She made bookmarks for her father and others, but he has no books, so this pendant is for him. He already knew she had given the clover to the Duke, who was thrilled and bragged about it the other day. It never occurred to him that he would get something like this too. Lydia says it's inexpensive. Katrina bought it at a commoner's shop. Isaac thanks you and says he'll cherish him. He asks why she gave it away now. She explains today is the day before Yule, but I generally forgot about it. Yule is basically Christmas. It seemed like an autumn game, and he always found it odd that it fell on December 25th. He says he didn't prepare anything and can't give her anything in return, yet Dia believes she received a lot from him. Isaac asks what it is, and she explains, for example, that it is a snow rabbit. This is her treasure. Two people had already received a lot from her. Writing and sending emails makes him happy. This is his treasure. As a final exchange, he made a rabbit. He says he'll protect this girl, and he'd have to be an idiot not to. Give an extra gift. If someone insults her, he threatens to beat them up unless she tells him. Dia wonders why it is so cruel, but Isaac. He tells her not to worry, just to keep it in mind. I don't care about the prince or that fact. That this is a game. He cares only about my lady and would not let anyone hurt her. Swearing by this pendant is strange for Yul, but he still believes he can pray to God. Clutching the pendant, he wishes that Milady will keep smiling. The prince sits in the library. Noting that their highness seems to be enjoying his business, the butler replies. There are still many papers that need to be reviewed. He says the duke is an ice noble after all. The duke is strict but not like his father. The butler says he does not usually talk that way. He thinks the rumors are too. It was true, the method for detecting magical abilities worked fine, and he was surprised to be asked to write a report on hydrangea color when the flowers could change depending on a person's magic. It's a shame they must be pruned before they wither, since their blooms depend on your care. Prune the flowers right away or they will not bloom next year. His sister likes them, so he wants to show them again. Her Highness truly values it and likely enjoyed sharing it with her brother. Their elements are very similar. The butler says he knows a lot about gardening and that he consulted a specialist. A knock at the door and the prince lets me in. Roy's sister walks in and tells him to look at himself because he's been staring at papers all day. He brightens at Felina's arrival and says she's a bit early today. Felina screams, and he says that proves she can wake up on time. The prince asks if Felina woke up on her own. The nurse says her maid woke her up. The prince laughs and Felina shouts that he is laughing too. Much, he apologizes, saying he was laughing because his little sister is so cute, and he asks what happened. Felina says roses have bloomed in the garden and invites him to look, and the prince says he has a little time before his next meeting, so when she urges him to go he agrees he can step out for a short while. Felina asks to call Klaus. Roy doesn't mind, but asks if Klaus will run away when he sees him. Felina says she will go with Klaus next time. They look out over the garden. She admires the flowers. Roy notices she loves roses. She wants to see them with him because they remind her so much of him, but he says they remind you more of her. Felina disagrees, again insisting that he is more like them. Roy says she and Lady Lydia are the only ones who mutually praise her. Lady Lydia is one of the potential brides. Felina says she is interested in her. It seemed odd that he was showing interest in someone. He assumed she disliked political games. Felina says he is odd too and never mentioned the other candidates by name. Roy remembers that this is true. He tells me Lady Lydia has wavy golden hair and bright blue eyes like blacky flowers, and when they first met she wore a blue dress, though she usually wears pale pink and could be mistaken for a flower spirit. Both of them danced with a partner for the first time and she danced well. Everyone applauded them. Felina asks for a blue dress, a pale pink one, and a good dancer. This is Lady Lydia, as the butler interrupts their conversations. They are informed that the prince's next meeting is coming soon. Roy apologizes to Phil. Phil says it's okay and thanks Roy for keeping her company. Phil wishes him luck and Roy promises to come back. Inside a carriage somewhere, they travel while the prince watches the townspeople through the window, and the butler remarked, "It's surprising he never gets bored looking at the same street." The prince says he doesn't because each day is different from the last, and then looks down the street. Noticing children running around, he asks to speak to the butler. The prince asks, "Ask your own question about how to make friends." He asks why he brought it up. The prince says one person refused his offer. The butler says he understands. He asks what their highness would do in such a. In that situation, he says saying yes right away would be difficult, and it depends on the person. And the butler agrees that not everyone is ready to agree when asked to be a friend. Roy realizes he chose the wrong words and he also stops keeping in touch with his friends as he used to. The butler asks what happened to the person who rejected him. The prince says they meet from time to time. The butler. Surprised, he hears the prince say that he is running errands for him, and he asks if he really needs to stay with him, but the prince assures him it is more than enough, though recently he himself. He has done a great job, but it is much more fun with him. Butler wonders whether that already makes them friends, and they arrive at the castle. Lydia meets him and greets him at home. The prince says they haven't seen each other for a long time, but Lydia points out it's only been 2 weeks. He sees she is living a busy life. Others would say they were tired. Tired of waiting so long, Lydia apologizes, but the prince asks to be excused. He did not mean that, and he hopes to hear about these happy days. Lydia agrees when the prince asks her to show him the garden today because it will do him good, and she promises to treat him. They go to the garden for tea. The prince says she seems different in a good way today. She admits she is ashamed for not treating him with the same respect as others. Young ladies, he says he is happy, but it is clear she had other matters. She had things to do before they met, but the other young ladies only want to know everything about him. Lydia asks whether he is an interesting person. The prince says he does not like that kind of talk and does not find it fun. Other young ladies. She says her parents taught her to flatter well, that her feelings of affection and admiration are distorted, and that she understands and wonders if she should stop listening to him. Lady Lydia stands apart. Seeing her in person makes him glad, and he asks what she wanted to show him today. Lydia shows him acacia trees in full bloom and their beauty. The magnolia is nearby, and the prince is delighted. Ernst's garden keeps changing and is a delight, and Lydia says she loves it too. They hear a crunch and something falls from the tree. The prince pulls Sophia behind him and tells her to step back. The falling object is probably the culprit. It hits the ground. He gets up and brushes himself off. Brushing it off, he says everything is fine and holds a bunch of acacias. Lydia asks why he fell right there, and Isaac doesn't understand. He says this isn't the right place, it's just the top of a tree. Lydia shouts asking why he fell out of the tree in the first place. Isaac explains he cut some twigs to decorate Eddie's room and thought he'd just get some nice ones. Lydia says it's dangerous. Isaac thanks her for taking care of him. She reminds me that he didn't. Not even an apology. Roy finds it funny. He had never seen her so relaxed. She calls out to Sir Roy. She studies him closely and is surprised to find he is Sir Roy. Lydia says she said nothing strange and explains this is the guy. That's strange. Jess shouts that Sir Roy is the crown prince and Isaac can be so rude. Poking her finger, he calls her this guy. Isaac asks if he can switch, but the prince says everything is fine. They are in a casual setting. Isaac claims that he will. He will never meet him officially because he is a commoner. The prince laughs and tells him never to say never. Isaac says that if it happens, he will be afraid to be polite to him. The prince says the same. Lydia watches them and wonders whether they really know each other. The other Isaac says this guy got lost in the middle of town, and Roy explains he helped him while exploring the city. Lydia says she's never heard them talk about it. Isaac tells the prince to save the complaints for Leo. He definitely knew and didn't even know that Sir Roy was Leo. Roy apologized. He says he meant to explain himself when they met, but they never met again, and Isaac asks if he was. They were trying to surprise him. Leo admits he wanted to see the reaction, but he wasn't surprised. Isaac explains he knew he had a high status, and it makes sense he behaves like an adult now. He asks if that's all, and Isaac says it is. They laugh. The prince begins to glow. Isaac hides behind Eddie. She asks him to stop glowing. Lydia screams. Tell him not to use her as a shield. Isaac shouts that she has too much magic, so she's a strong shield lets her do it. Lydia asks him where the logic is. Her magic won't help. Roy withheld his identity from Isaac because he didn't want Isaac to interact with him in any other way, but it's no need to worry, the prince laughs. The butler appears and calls to the prince. The prince asks what it is, saying they still have time. The butler explains they have been drinking tea too long and it sounds loud, so he feared something had happened. Lydia apologizes, explaining their gardener was the rude one, and Isaac accepts the blame, but they study each other carefully. He recognizes him and asks why Isaac is here. Isaac also recognizes Matthias and says these clothes do not fit him. Matthias realizes this is the man who refused to be Fry. They are friends. Roy laughs, thinking Isaac is more surprised by Matthias as a person than by the fact that he's a prince, and Isaac asks Milady how long this will last. Not knowing, she offers to blame him. It did not matter that it was an autumn game. They spent their days together happily. It is simply wonderful that the prince is so happy. They sit in the garden. Flora grabs Lydia's arm and pulls. Lydia tells Flora to stop. Isaac asks what is happening. Lydia says Flora won't let go. Flora is very energetic today. A year had passed since he became a gardener's apprentice and met Milady, and even after he learned this was the world of the autumn game and that Leo was Sir Roy, his life stayed the same. He shows his F. She uses her fingers to show how to play rock and paper and asks Flora if she can do it. Flora tries to copy it but pulls away from Lydia. Isaac praises her. Flora laughs contentedly. Lydia is surprised. Apparently she never listens to her. Even Millie is one of the game's main enemies. Now she's just a girl worried about her little sister. In that game he wasn't even a non-scripted character. It's normal for him to lead an ordinary, unremarkable life. That's exactly why he still remembers his previous life. Isaac explains that children her age copy everything they see. He shows her a wreath. It's a bunch of flowers. Lydia asks what else it is. He explains that if you arrange the flowers this way to make a clover wreath. He brings that wreath to Lydia and Flora. It's a very cute floral decoration. Lydia. He says he is very skilled at making things like these wreaths and that pendant and thinks she can handle it too. He advises starting at the beginning. First, pick a flower, split the stem in two, and wrap it around your finger. You're done. He makes a ring from clover, says it's no big deal, but Lydia's fate shows otherwise. It seemed that something had happened, and she might have been angry. She blushed when he slipped the ring on. The third finger on his left hand. She points at his hand. Embarrassed, Isaac says it was. It was an accident. Milady tells him to stay quiet and not say anything. If he says a word, she will not answer for herself. He pauses, aware she's furious. An awkward silence falls. Then Flora screams, grabs Melody's hem again, asks what happened, and points to Melody's hand. She realizes she wants the same ring, and Lydia asks Isaac to make another ring for Flora to wear on a different finger. If he did it, she would let it go. He agrees. He offers Flora the ring, but she keeps screaming. Lydia doesn't know what's wrong with her. Because she already has the ring, Isaac says she has it now. A new goal. She liked the pendant a lot. Lydia sees the pendant around his neck. Yule was so long ago, yet he still had it. Isaac explodes. He's been wearing it around his neck since the day she gave it to him. It was under my clothes so it wasn't damaged, and now Flora has found it, and he says he will make her. She offers the necklace, but the clone asks her to leave it to him as his treasure, and Lydia is surprised that even ordinary moments are like this. She can feel how much Isaac cares for her. He means a lot to her too. She wonders what she can do for him. It had been a year since she'd met Isaac. Sir Roy waits patiently for her decision, and soon it will be time for him to answer. Isaac sits by the water cannon, waiting for Leo after arriving a little earlier than they had agreed. Spotting the old man from the flower shop, he runs over and asks if he's really waiting for that young man by the water cannon. He agrees. The florist says the man stunned him, came straight to him, and fresh from the bay and still floundering, asked to buy hydrangeas and promised to pay well. Isaac says his hydrangeas are special. They can be replanted and bloom all year except during the rainy season, but the flower seller kept saying he glagalized them, claiming they were for research, magic, or perfume elements, as if someone needed that, and Isaac T. knows what's going on in his head. He taught him how to grow hydrangeas, so he won't let them wither. The salesman says it makes him happy, and he's. After saying goodbye, Isaac promises he will sometimes return to the store unexpectedly. A shiver runs through them as they realize it is the spirit of darkness. Isaac doesn't understand how these spirits can be here in the middle of the day, and he most wants to try tracking them down there. Spirits are. Magic comes from many sources and includes spells like hypnosis, which are often abused by unkind people, and although he feels no malice, it's wise to be cautious. Running, he feels the source is nearby. Peering into the alley, he sees a girl sitting with her back to him. He asks if she is all right and she shudders, asking who is there. Her hair sparkles. Isaac is not happy about the new stupid shiny thing. Noticing her hair, he asks if she is Leo's little sister. The girl doesn't know who she is talking about. Isaac asks if she is Sir. She is surprised that he knows Roy. Isaac admits he asked someone to walk with him around the city center, and he is an apprentice gardener on the Ernst estate. She remembers the name and realizes he works for Mrs. Isaac asks Lydia if she is lost. She says Roy went out for a walk. She followed him but lost sight of him while looking around. Isaac senses the presence of the spirits of darkness. The cloak was the source. She had gone with Leo and it looked odd. He asks her what kind it is. She explains that he was in Sir Roy's office. She tried it on, and it turned out to be a magical cloak that made you invisible. Isaac suspects Roy is too stupid to leave things unattended. Everything finally fell into place. A richly dressed girl wandering around this seems strange. When Leo first showed up, it caused a lot of commotion even though he had slipped into the city center unnoticed. It doesn't matter how or why it's lost. Isaac pats her head and says it's fine, he will. She agrees to deliver it to his brother. Isaac uses magic to create a bird that takes off and flies away. When the girl asks what it is, Isaac says it's magic for sending messages and that he used it to find Sir Roy even when Sir Roy was wearing the same cloak. He can now take her to the meeting point, tells her to stay still, and says, her hair will get dirty if it drags on the ground, so he is going to tie her hair up now. She thanks him, saying he was very good with long hair. Isaac says his younger sister often asked him to do her ponytail, of course, when I was little. So I had to learn, he says. The girl asks again. It turns out he has a younger sister, but he says she is an ex-sister. He offers his hand and beckons her over. She tries to stand, but her leg hurts. Walking around the castle regularly shows she has overworked her leg out of habit. Isaac crouches and offers the girl his shoulders. Ordinary people cannot afford a carriage, so he will carry her. He puts her on his back and he carries her, asks her name. She replies that her name is Alina, and he asks if she is a little late. Consider addressing her based on her background. She says it's unnecessary. This is not an official reception. Isaac says they're definitely brother and sister because they're so alike. Alina agrees except for his eyes, and he adds he wasn't talking about looks but about their behavior. Until now, no one had said they were alike in anything but appearance, and Isaac says she looks honest and behaves like someone her age, while Leo acts like an old man, which does not suit him. Felina asks what an old man is. Isaac explains that Roy has a child's face and appearance, but behaves like an adult and should relax more often. Alina agrees because Roy is working too hard. Isaac says she's worried about her brother. Alina agrees and says he means a lot to her. To her, Nelody is the only rival in Roy's Ruta. Yuki didn't talk about her or mention Alina, but even if he doesn't, it doesn't matter. This just means she's not one of the main characters. It doesn't matter who she is as long as she doesn't have an impact on his life or on. Melodies, convinced his knowledge is badly distorted. He finds what he learned from personal experience differs from what he remembers from when he helped you. With the game, unlike him, who is living a second life in the game, Yuki would have liked too. He remembers how she kept getting stuck in the game and asking him for help, saying she thought she was stuck. This is Yuki's catchphrase. It might be her. This Felina girl is a Von Rosenhorns. The princess is the royal family's third child, born to the king and his first queen. She remembers her entire past life, but that doesn't matter. She's one of the few born with great magical power, and she has two elements that are hard to con. As a result, her body released a storm of magic every time someone nodded to her. In that mood, she cried out loud. Everything around her collapsed, and she feared everyone nearby. Often shut inside the palace, she hated being so strange and frightening, but then her savior came, her dear brother Roy. She has two older brothers, and only Roy is a blood brother, and they possess light magic, a very rare trait. Roy was kind and guided her through the hardest period of her life, found why her magic had become unmanageable, and taught her to control it step by step, so she loved him. She loved him with all her heart. Hearing that people thought they looked alike made her very happy. For her, simply looking like her beloved older brother was enough. It had already become a point of pride. When he was too busy to spend time with her, she could watch him in the mirror to distract herself. She eased her loneliness by searching for his features in her own face. Staring at herself in the mirror became a habit, and one day she realized she had seen that face before and knew her name was Felina Elaine. From Rosenheim, she played a minor role in an autumn game in her previous life, perched on a branch with her favorite, this year's star. This is the official name. This game has huge, hidden potential from her previous life. Yuka found her ideal, but it felt very cold to her. She felt cold, she almost got caught. She saw it on the cover and bought the game. She couldn't forget him. Yuka didn't know what to do. Yuka debated whether to start with its branch or save it for later. She thinks she'll figure it out after she finishes the training. Jiggy only wants to play. Because her magic is strong, she is enrolled in the Magic Academy. Left there without explanation, the game begins. In the corner, the hydrangea marks her magic. Jiggy is special but has no magical powers. Because the flower is white at first, each partner has their own. Jiggy's own characteristics determine how much another person's personality affects her, and the hydrangea's color changes depending on the branch you are leading. Light green for wind, earth orange, purple for darkness, infrared for fire, sky blue for water, white for nothing, light yellow for light, and yellow for electric. At the Fantasy Academy, this is how it plays out. She starts with Prince Roy's bad ending and saves the good ending for after she finishes the rest of the story. Surrounded by branches, Yuka was alone in the room and lost the whole night. Hours later, Yuka thinks about how good the prince is. Like a mere courtesy on a branch of light, Yuka thinks that, believing real men exist only in games, she sees someone entering the prince into the. In the game, the girl asks permission to explain that someone like her is not worthy of. Roy, this is a rival, a principled competitor, a noble woman, and if you cannot show that your efforts are, by reducing real results, you will never take the. His bride's place requires you to remember it. Yuka asks whether she wants a fair fight. It is beautiful. She is honest and will not stoop to mean tricks. Unable to say she dislikes it, Yuka decides to confront the situation and secure a fully honest confession, and she works her way through the game relentlessly. At last, everything is ready. She was moments from giving up and thinks this girl is her brother's new sweetheart. That character, Felina Elena von Rosenheim, is real. Elena was a minor character on the Prince Roy branch who sometimes attended school, and many moments require making the wrong choice to reach a good ending. If they met her, she would tell them things Prince Roy wouldn't. She's her second favorite character after Prince. She was surprised to be so attached to Big Brother since she checked on him so often, and born Felina, she saw her life in the first person. He understood her pain like no one else, which is why he loves his brother so much. In both her past and present lives, he brought her happiness. She believes that this is different, and she draws on memories from a past life to make sure Roy is happy. Now is the time to do something for him, and she remembers being told to skip a few moments to prevent a bad ending on the branch. The prince, first, Roy failed to reconcile with Klaus, so Klaus seized the throne. Second, the swarm could not handle the two powers, light and dark, and they only need to avoid those powers to reach a good ending. Felina decides it is time to act and not miss the moment. First, she needs to make friends with her brothers. Her older brother is Prince Klaus, the second prince. Klaus is another branch in the game, competing with Roy for the throne, and they share a good ending when Roy takes the throne and a bad ending when Klaus does. When it takes the throne, it can affect Klaus and his branch, yet it still appears now and then, so there must be a way to bring the brothers closer. She asks Klaus if he would like tea with her and Roy, but Klaus's mom When second Queen Simone arrives, she takes charge of her son but fears she will have to give him up. Klaus is too busy playing the violin. Klaus apologizes, and Felina says she will not distract him when he is busy. Whenever she tries to invite Klaus, Queen Simone steps in and interrupts them. Even when Klaus comes with her, he keeps his distance from Roy. He is hard to approach, but Felina doesn't give up and will try to figure it out. The swarm wields both light and dark magic. Right now he only knows A. This is about light magic, so it can't speed up progress here. This will only be revealed after she enters the academy. When she was worried about uncontrolled magic, he was always there to help. She wants to be there for him and help when he is the one who will suffer because of magic. If something pulls him down, she wants him to trust her because she needed to be someone he could talk to about anything. For now, nothing she does can change the situation, not even a little. All she can do is offer her busy brother a chance to relax at a tea party. It feels corny. As a princess with memories of a past life, that is all she can manage. She goes to his room and finds he's not there, but hydrangeas blooming by the sea. Light yellow for light magic and purple for dark magic. The swarm already knows it's dark magic. She assumed he would only learn those two abilities at the academy. Felina cannot understand how he found out. That's not the only thing that strikes her as odd. Then she asks. He asked him to describe Lady Lydia to her. The Lydia Roy described wasn't the Lydia she remembered. Her hair and eye colors match, but everything else is different. She remembers wearing a bright red dress as a child, but her brother says it was blue and light pink, not to mention. The game says that when they first met, Lady Lydia danced poorly and fell, and when Roy reached out to help her up, she fell again. I'm in love with him. But it did not fall. He said that she danced. Beautifully different from the game. Lady Lydia may remember her past life and would do anything to. Talk to her whenever you can. She is the main candidate to become the bride's daughter-in-law. Felina has an idea. Felina wants to meet Lydia. Her goal is to leave the palace. Borrowing the robe from Roy's office might work. She couldn't think of anything else, so she cleaned his room, grabbed his robes and left, then quickly became lost, tried to run after her brother but lost sight of him, couldn't take another step and sat down. Standing in an alley, she thought about what would happen if she never came home. It was best to stay safe until the game started, even though some things were already going wrong. Then she heard some. When someone asked her if everything was all right, she was surprised anyone noticed her while she wore a raincoat. Felina asks who is there and sees. An ordinary boy asks whether she is Leo's younger sister, meaning Leo as in Leonard, which is Roy's middle name. No one she knows calls him that, so she doesn't know who the boy is. He introduced himself as Isaac, a friend of Roy's and an apprentice gardener at Lady Lydia's estate, and she fell in love with him when she saw him. A strange nostalgia, like a very old memory. Memories from when she was still Yuka, of her older brother. Her brother often argued with their stubborn father. He was honest with himself. He died in an accident. Her parents were completely overwhelmed. It was hard for her to believe. As a result, he was sentenced to death. She calls him a fool because he could talk to them. Family, those distant memories, those recollections. Of her brother that were shut, maybe it was because. Her memories flooded back. She repeated words she'd said so often when she was young. Thank you very much. She was convinced she had reached a dead end, and then one simple sentence reunited them, not with her brother Roy, not with Klaus, but with her idiot brother. Isaac asks if the girl is really Yuka, and she asks if he is really T-Chai. They consider the situation. Getting to know each other is so easy there's no reason to hesitate. It sounds familiar. The phrase feels familiar and reminds him of his sister. He asks the girl if she is Yuka, then notices a cup of chai in front of her. She tells him she wants him to call her Lady Elena. He says he knows that being rude. Being rude is her thing, and it's the first thing that comes to mind. Felina asks what he does when you stare and who Isaac is. He says he wishes he knew and doesn't remember anyone named Elena. They will explain that Elena is her middle name and her first name is Felina. She's a minor character on the Prince Roy branch. She took the middle name because Tech-I calls Roy Leo and Isaac now understands where. This is where the name came from. He won't remember the names of minor characters. She calls herself a supporting character, and he isn't even a background character. He does. He doesn't understand how reincarnation works at all. He only met Roy by accident, and only works for Lady Lydia by accident. It must. This may have been more than just an accident. Felina asks him not to. Tell her it's his fault the events don't match what happened in the game. Isaac asks what it means that they don't match. Helena says the swarm already knows its two main powers, darkness and light, and asks whether he caused it. Isaac presses him again about whether he truly has two traits, though he still does not know what his fault is. That might be it. Felina remembers Roy was not supposed to find out, but he already used hydrangeas to find out. Isaac realizes these are the hydrangeas he bought from the old gardener. Leo bought them himself, and Isaac did nothing. Felina asks about Lady Lydia. Lydia was supposed to fall while dancing with Roy, but Millie handled it so she did not mess it up. Again, nothing. Isaac says he does, then stops. He doesn't remember anything about the game and is a commoner with a touch of magic. Felina, explain what he can do. She shouts that she's a princess with powerful magic, but nothing comes of it, and Isaac demands she stop blaming him for everything. Felina admits she still can't stop thinking about how helpless she felt in this life. Isaac says she didn't die young like he did. Calling him a blockhead, she says of course not. They all lived a full and peaceful life. Isaac smiles, pleased, and asks what makes her think she's a little old granny, and she shouts that of course not. She only has old memories and is just a normal 5-year-old girl. She asks whether he is a student in his memoirs. Isaac denies it and says he is just an ordinary 8-year-old boy. Felina. They say it may be because they're in your star's world, but most of their memories are of the game. A lot is still unclear, which would explain why she's talking like she used to. Isaac asks Yuki to forgive him. They still have old memories right now, but they're not Tichai and Yuka anymore. They gotta ch. If given the chance to meet again, he wanted to apologize for everything, including ruining his life. The forecast made him break down, stop thinking, and stop managing his life. She and others endured unnecessary pain. He was simply a terrible person. Felina calls him an idiot and says so loudly. Her older brother is such an idiot. She gives him a big hug, and he tells her he's sorry. They arrived. Felina asked whose house it was. Isaac explained this was his home. He had told Leo they'd meet here so they would stand out less. The parents did not expect to see the princess, so she should put on her robes and hot. She agrees. Isaac tells his mom he's home and asks if Leo is there, and his mom greets him but says he came back very quickly, and Leo has not. He still hasn't arrived. Isaac says he'll wait for him here. Mom asks him again why he won't wait for him at the fountain. He replies that something happened today, so the plans have changed a little. My father enters the room. Mom tells me she and Denny were just going shopping, and since he's back he can look after the house, and Isaac agrees, asking them to take care of themselves. They tell him to give Leo their regards and say they're leaving. Felina asks if these are his parents in this life. He looks a lot like them. He says he wouldn't call their relationship bad. Felina smiles. He asks her to stop, and she tells him not to be shy. The man's name is Dennis, she says. He reminded her of their father. Isaac agrees with her, but his past father. The past is behind him, and his real father is the biological one. Both men take their work seriously, and he respects them for that. Felina tells the teacher she has really changed. He says so much happened in his past life and helps his father with his work. Felina asks if he thinks. They remember a past life because he wants to fix something he regrets. Isaac ponders a word fix right now. A knock sounds at the door, and outside someone says it's Leo and asks if Isaac is home. Felina hears Roy has arrived, but they can't speak to Leo yet. Offering his hand, he tells her that it's nice to meet him and calls her Elena. Offering her hand, she says it's nice to meet him too, and names him Isaac. Opening the door, he tells Leo he's been waiting, apologizes sincerely for the delay, and says he needs to know why Isaac changed their meeting place. Isaac takes off Felina's cape and tells her she can take it off now, and Roy, surprised, asks what Felina is doing here and requests Matthias stand guard. Felina snaps that he couldn't spare her a couple of seconds to gather herself and asks why he did it. Isaac replies that the whole point was to meet Leo and starts to ask how much longer she was going to. She hides behind him and calls him an idiot. The prince laughs and says it seems Isaac and Felina have found a common language. Felina refuses, then says he helped her when she got lost in the city. The prince asks me again how I got lost. Leo holds up the cape and asks whether he could stop throwing things like that around. Roy apologizes and says you need to take better care of your things. Felina apologizes for taking it, saying she only wanted to follow him and blaming him for not telling her about his walks outside, insisting she was just curious. Isaac asks them to admit they are both guilty, asks me what I should say while they stay silent, and says we need to apologize together, something like that. Leo agrees and says he'll be more careful. Next time, Felina also agrees with him. Isaac asks that. Isaac now wonders where the robe came from. The prince says he made it himself. Isaac asks again what it is. The prince explains he based it on the dark magic the method he used while they hid from the guards. As he'd predicted, he discovered he could use other kinds of magic. He pondered his work. Hearing those words, he decided to explore his options. He stares at Isaac, wondering why she is trying to stare at him. He says Elena was just talking about his dark magic and that you have 2 of them. Elena lunges at him, clamps a hand over his mouth, and orders him to stop talking about his 2 abilities in public. It is a painful subject in his branch. Isaac figures he doesn't mind, so he asks him to tea. Take a look. They notice the prince is smiling. Felina under. He insists this is true and says he's pleased to see them so close. Felina refuses. He tells them it's time to go home and that they'll meet at the palace. She agrees and apologizes. Interrupting him today, the prince tells her not to worry. He still learned something new. Notices her hairstyle, pats her hair, and says it really suits her ponytail. Isaac asks not to spoil his sister like this, and the prince apologizes again for the trouble. He asks him to hide the mantle so no one else can take it. Leo tells Matthias that As they leave, Isaac asks if he should go with them. Leo tells him not to worry. They will get there on their own. Leo says goodbye to Isaac. Elena calls out to him and she whispers in his ear that no matter what happens next, she will do everything to make Roy happy. Isaac says that's great and will do everything to make Melody happy. He is happy. Felina leans over and kisses his shoulder. The cheek, Leo and Matthias wonder why she kissed his ear and whether she is in love with Isaac. Felina demands to know what that was, insists it was not a kiss, and says they're going home in the carriage. Felina admits to Leo there isn't much she can do. If something bothers him, tell him he can talk to her about anything. He says it's not sudden, but Felina thinks it's not sudden. She knows he's up to something but doesn't know what, and Leo laughs and says that plotting is a bad word. When asked whether Isaac told her anything, she says Isaac had nothing to do with it and that she alone wants him to be able to rely on her. She understands the older brothers want to do their own thing, but even if he leaves her in the dark, she will still worry about him and he will not be able to stop her. Laughing, he says he can't just hope for the best. Felina asks, I don't understand why he is laughing. This is serious. Matthias's stomach hurts just thinking about all the cleaning he has to do, but he thinks at least those two are having fun. A son, Isaac, and his father are pruning roses. Isaac, thinking about why he was reborn, he remembers Felina saying that maybe the reason they have memories from a previous life is to make amends for something he regrets. He became a gardener's apprentice, followed his father's footsteps, and was reborn. His father calls out that he's cutting too much. April is. It's almost over. They need to prune the roses so they bloom in May. So far, it's been a little difficult for him to do this alone, so his father helps him. His father hands him a box of flowers and asks him to take it to the mansion and come back. Isaac says he can take it, but he has not finished pruning it yet, but my father insists. Isaac agrees. Since meeting Elena, he has not been able to stop thinking about her and no longer looks like himself. Lydia yells at someone to wait and he hears her. The melody surprises him. Lady Emma attacks him. He asks whether he should be the young lady's shadow. She says he is disgusting. Her dancing skills have held her back. If he is to be her partner or shadow, he should have the right level. Isaac asks her what she's talking about. Emma grabs him by the scruff and tells him to go after her now. Joe will forgive her for stopping. She carries Isaac into the ballroom while he asks what to do next. Emma says she wants to learn to dance. Isaac feels upset and should get back to work. He says he agrees, but the clothes they just put on him look ridiculous, while the Duke stands in the doorway enjoying the sight and explains that they are his things from when he was young. Isaac asks if the Duke is free, and the Duke says everyone needs a break sometimes, and that someone asked him what to wear to dance lessons. Noticing Isaac likes it, he asks Jeff if that's true. Jeff says she thinks it's a little better this way, though not by much. Isaac thanks her and asks how long she's been with her. Everyone watches him as the Duke says it is kind of cute to see someone wearing your old clothes, then asks Isaac if he would agree to become his son, while Melody tries to stop him. Isaac asks you not to joke like that. The Duke notices he is not a blunderer. It's still early, but he should count it as a birthday present. Millie is surprised and asks the Duke how he knows when his birthday is. The Duke says he knows, since he's a servant in their household and thinks it may be the 9th. Lydia says she didn't even know until last year. Isaac thinks about what she didn't ask. Emma wonders if they're done with the let's stop the idle chatter and get back to the question. Isaac must attend all further dance lessons of the young lady as her partner. He thinks he's a gardener's apprentice, has a lot of work, and his father will be furious, but the Duke promises to talk to Denny's and help him sort things out. He's out so he shouldn't worry, but then he realizes he's been cornered. Emma asks if they agree. Sophia is terrified and they agreed, and under Miss Ella's guidance, he attended dance lessons for the next 2 weeks. Half of May passed, and they are walking in the garden. Blue flowers fill the garden, so it feels like you are walking in the sky. His father suggested the idea. He had a garden idea and completed it for his birthday last week. Prince Roy asks if his birthday was last month and he didn't know it. Jess says to be honest that using their family's garden as a gift for her son is too much. Isaac was more excited than he expected to see this beautiful garden planted just for him. Jeff thinks Denny is too cunning. Isaac liked to ask Leo something. Leo asks how the shadow should look, not the kind found on Earth. Leo asks whether they're talking about dancing. He says he meant to ask Melody. Melody says nothing. The prince stays quiet. Isaac explains the shadow is the image of the partner the dancer represents. He asks why he needs it. Isaac explains this is the name his teacher gives him. It turns out he replaces Leo. Jess shouts that this is not true. She wanted to dance with Prince Roy's shadow, but that made no sense, and Emma says she's trying to lead the prince, which is completely wrong because a man should lead. She wanted His Highness to follow her. When the teacher explained why she could not, she said she had been dancing with her eyes elsewhere, so she decided to call Eyes for lessons. So she promises him. She never meant to put him in Prince Roy's place or anyone else's. Both boys watched her intently. The prince says he understands everything, but remembers she danced well last year, if Isaac was. Her partner must be good. I'd like to see how he actually dances. He says he got a pillbox, and because of it he dances worse than at 0 level, with stagey hand movements, though he had been hoping to be the lead-in. At the dance he just follows Melody around, letting her take the spotlight. They switched roles so the dance ended awkwardly. The teacher was angry, and if he's going to fix it, you need to work hard. Isaac does not want to stand out, but Leo asks him to go to the ball. Avoiding attention will not help. It is better to get used to a large crowd. Isaac doubts he will ever make it to the ball. Leo says his birthday is in August, so inviting a friend will be easy. Last year he danced with everyone. That included potential brides, but he never made a final decision and generally avoids conflict. Either way, he won't be dancing at the festival this year, and Lady Lydia must find a partner. His presence will solve the problem. He asks Isaac what he thinks, and Isaac says he approves. He appreciates it and will take note. Isaac shouts to see if they can even hear him. Lydia says he doesn't have to come if he doesn't want to, and she'll talk to her father afterward about finding a partner. Isaac sees he has upset her again. He tells you that if she really has no choice, he will think about it. Dee is happy. You must first get the Duke's permission, but he will not leave her alone. The Duke asks whether she really wants to bring Isaac to His Highness's birthday party. It's a good idea. Lydia asks if this is true. He replies that of course, if it is His Highness' request, he cannot refuse. Isaac says he dances oddly and his clothes are strange. Lives too, the Duke says he liked Isaac's dancing and is glad Lydia will dance with him instead of some man he does not know, and Isaac agrees. They need to work harder in their lessons, but he can already see they have begun to learn the proper etiquette during training, and Isaac asks. Try not to add to his work. Leo is happy that it's good. It's good that Isaac is coming to the party. Jeff thanks him. This will be a chance for Isaac to learn. Only Isaac is unhappy because he feels the prince is constantly urging him to act, but he insists he's exaggerating. Think of it as a gift. His birthday was this month. Isaac thinks that. A very dubious gift. It's hard to refuse, and it's unclear why people do this. DL is upset at how easily people give gifts. She doesn't know what to give him, and his birthday arrived earlier than she thought, so she doesn't. You should know what to think now, Prince says he is. She is sure he won't mind if she gives something now, and he has no doubt he will be happy to receive a gift from her, if he wants, he can give her advice, not as Prince but as. A mutual friend agrees and says that your opinion is needed, one more thing. She plans to ask him to wait a little longer before she replies to his suggestion and will answer soon. She will come for the holidays at the very end, and the prince agrees because he does not want her to answer right now. Someone pointed at Isaac in formal attire and told everyone to look. Lydia laughs and says she is too. They decide to discuss what to give Isaac. Lydia asks if it's a good idea and says she wants to give him something. He keeps it as a memento. Lydia has 3 months to decide.